to reporters, calling Pence the most extreme VP pick in a generation. John Podesta, Clinton's campaign chairman, called Pence an incredibly divisive and unpopular running mate. Pence, a six-term congressman prior to becoming governor in 2013, brings a conservative and hawkish record to Trump's ticket, including several issues where he and Trump hold differences. Pence has been running for re-election in what polls showed was a close race against Democrat John Gregg, who Pence narrowly defeated 4 years ago. It will now be up to the state party to name Pence's replacement on the November ballot. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerary supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $3 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. Reuters reports New York Governor Andrew Cuomo ordered security tightened on mass transit and at airports, bridges, tunnels, and other crucial transportation links following Thursday's deadly truck attack in Nice, France. In New York City, extra police from the Anti-Terror Force and other units of the New York City Police Department patrolled locations associated with the French government and heavily trafficked areas such as Times Square, according to Mayor Bill de Blasio. De Blasio said on WNYC Radio's Brian Lehrer show, "We are absolutely on alert." He said there was no specific threat against New York City. Cuomo said late on Thursday in a statement that New York State Police and a joint task force of soldiers, airmen, naval militia, and National Guard deployed extra personnel to the New York City area in the hours after at least 84 people were killed at a Bastille Day celebration on the French Riviera. New York City Police Commissioner Bill Bratton said on Friday, after learning of the attack, the New York City Police Department sent detectives already on assignment in Paris and The Hague to Nice to help authorities and to gather intelligence to send home. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
For the past several years now, area woman Caitlin Mooney has been convinced that each and every one of her friends should be a professional comedian. Our reporters spoke to Caitlin this morning about her, quote, hilarious group of friends.
Karen is so funny. Like, I can't even explain it. She's always just saying whatever on her mind. She has this totally sassy attitude. You just can't help but laugh. My roommate Rashmi, she always has these hilarious stories that, they're just too much. I'm always telling her that she should just go up on stage and talk. Everyone would love it.
Mooney went on to say that her good friend Lauren is so funny she could, quote, definitely be on Saturday Night Live or The Office, a sentiment she echoed about a number of her other acquaintances, including her childhood friend Marcia, her college roommate Angela, her coworker Julie, and even her sister Jennifer.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. You can join us here. We'll give you the toll-free number, Skype username. You can bring up whatever's on your mind. Also, of course, we bring things to the table that we find interesting, including the latest out of California, the first state back in 1996 to, by ballot initiative or ballot referendum, pass a state statute change that would allow for the medicinal use of cannabis. That was 20 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hard
amazing,
to believe it's been that long.
And it took them a long time. Once that had passed, it took the California sheriffs, the police, a long time to really kind of, well, deal with it. Because they don't like losing their power. And they continued to lash out at marijuana grow operations and the storefronts in whatever way they could. Some cities became unfriendly towards some of the facilities and would prohibit their locations, for instance, restricting them from being in a certain city area or nearby to schools or churches and things like that. And one of the ordinances, I forget where it was, but was written that basically made it impossible for a cannabis dispensary to open up within the city limits because, well, you can't be within X amount of feet of the schools or the, daycare centers or any other place young people might be. So that pretty much excluded everywhere except the most deep, dark corners of an industrial district or something like that.
And probably not even then because, this isn't licensed for retail commercial. This is only licensed for manufacturing.
Right.
And something similar that I had learned when I was back in Alabama a few weeks ago for my high school reunion, there's one of the cities near Birmingham that has this thing to where if you can see the steeple of a church from the front door, you are not allowed to sell alcohol.
Wow.
And there was one of the Southern Baptist churches that they wanted to close the bar down in town, so they built their steeple a little higher so that it could be seen by, basically everything in the city, and so they had to shut it down.
So the police have been fighting this for a long time, but finally in California, after like a decade, they kind of started laying off. At least the police seemed to kind of lay back a little bit when it came to the enforcement of this.
Some people will say that California, they basically have legal recreational cannabis because everybody can go to the doctor and say, I've got something. Give me a prescription.
It's fairly easy from what I understand from people who I've known.
It's a lot easier in California than it is in say, New Hampshire or Arizona.
Right. There's just more things that qualify for cannabis, more medical issues that'll qualify someone for cannabis prescription in California.
In California, as opposed to New Hampshire, and this is going to sound like I'm, picking a nit, but it's a very huge
That's what
grammatical...
You do well.
I do that well, but it's a very huge grammatical difference. In the statute, there is an and in New Hampshire statute to where you have to have had one of these problems and you have to have, one of these symptoms. So you have to have had a specific injury or diagnosis of a certain disease, and you have to have certain symptoms. In California, it's an or.
That's a big change for one word.
If you have ever been diagnosed with cancer or you have chronic pain. Whereas in New Hampshire, you would have to have been diagnosed with cancer or Crohn's or one of, another short list of illnesses or diseases.
And have some sort of symptoms.
And have certain symptoms.
So it's a lot easier in California. Your point, though, was that some people would argue that it's de facto legal for anyone.
Right, so you go into the doctor and you say, oh, doc, I've got back pain. Well, they can't test for back. There is no medical test to determine whether or not you are in pain.
Right. All they can do is say, on a scale of 1 to 10.
How much pain are you in? I'm constantly in a 5.
Right. Okay, here's your prescription. There you go. So it is pretty easy to do that, but not everybody wants to go and be dishonest in order to acquire their cannabis. That would be one thing that you'd have to do if you were in good health and you went into a doctor and claimed that you were in pain. That's a lie.
Right, and not everybody wants to go pay the $50 or whatever the fee is to get a card from the state, and they've got to pay that fee every year to keep renewing their card.
Well, either way.
In order to then go buy the stuff from the dispensary that is more costly than what you can buy it on the street corner in a lot of cases.
Is that true? Is that still true?
From what I know in California.
Interesting.
Now, we do know how drastically the prices have dropped in the recreational stores in Colorado and Washington.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think, and
There's
Colorado and Washington had medical or therapeutic cannabis prior to having recreational, and the prices were still astronomical prior to the full recreational tax and regulate. So I'm guessing...
But isn't recreational more expensive in Colorado than medical? Like if you have the medical card, don't you get an even better price?
I don't know if you get a better price. You have a completely different selection. So they'll have things that are marked with red labels for medical.
And in the same store. So
the same store.
Okay.
But if you go in and you purchase anything using your medical card, you cannot on that same trip purchase anything from the recreational side of the store. And vice versa. So if you go in and you're like, oh yeah, here's all of this recreational stuff that I want, and give me a therapeutic brownie, here's my card, they'll say, can't sell you the therapeutic brownie if you're buying anything recreational. So my understanding, based on my limited knowledge of having gone to one of the facilities in Colorado and knowing someone with a medical card, if you go in and buy anything recreational, you can't buy medical and vice versa. And my understanding is just a different selection. It's not necessarily a different pricing scheme.
So on this sort of workup towards California's vote that is coming up this November on another referendum,
what they're calling the AUMA, the Adult Use of Marijuana Act.
I believe that is the case. So as we're working up to this, in this world in which marijuana is becoming more accepted in the United States, you now have 4 states, I believe, plus D.C., that basically have legalized cannabis: Alaska, Oregon, Washington, and Colorado.
Yes.
And Washington, D.C.
Well, in D.C., it's different than the tax and regulate scheme.
That's right, amazingly.
In the other states. And that's only because the ballot initiatives in D.C. do not allow the voters to implement a new tax or a regulation. So all they could do was remove the criminal penalties from cannabis.
Excellent.
So that's
like
a variant of initiative and referendum that I have talked to several state reps in New Hampshire about, and they're like, oh, that would be too hard to implement. Because whenever you talk about initiative and referendum, the first objection from liberty lovers is, well, new taxes and bad stuff can get passed. Well, if you limit the scope to where the voters cannot create a new tax or a new regulation,
but it can only repeal
penalties.
Yeah,
then
I would support that.
No, you can't have quote unquote bad stuff and new regulations come in.
Right, unless they change that to where anyone can put in whatever they want.
Right, but that would not be something that would be authorized by the voter. The voters wouldn't be able to do that because that would be creating a new regulation.
Well, but if the legislature changed it to where,
right, but they're not wanting to introduce referendum right now. Why would they change it?
I see where you're coming from. It's hard to get New Hampshire to change things. I mean,
I know.
It is the Granite State. 855, 450 free. It moves slow. To some extent, there's a benefit to that because it means the government grows slow here, but it also turns around real slow and goes away slow. 855, 450 free, which is why we need more liberty-loving people to move here. You can check out the Shire Society to learn more about that massive movement of libertarians and voluntarists in New Hampshire. We'll talk more about the police and their opposition to pot coming up. 855, 450 free is our number.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
To a professional trader in precious metals, the key is spot. People looking to invest never get spot price because resellers add fees for everything. Refining, minting, brokerage costs, commissions. The public is never offered spot until now. In a limited new customer outreach, JM Bullion offers you the chance to own a 10-ounce bar of pure silver at spot price. No fees, commissions, markups, not even a shipping cost. Now, through JM Bullion, own the most real investment of all at real cost. Not a piece of paper from Wall Street or a bank. A 10-ounce bar of silver at spot price. That's a solid investment. But you must now go online to realpricesilver.com for this limited time offer. That's realpricesilver.com. realpricesilver.com. Limit one offer per household. 50 United States only.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadati.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live shows 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
Listen to LRN.FM on any phone, anytime. 641-552-5046. That's 641-552-5046.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join us here toll-free. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well. Skype username is LRN.FM. Tonight in studio, it's Ian.
And Darryl.
And tonight when you go to bed, concentrate on the position of your head and neck. In a lot of cases, chronic headaches, neck, and even back pain can be solved with the right pillow. Your spine should be straight and parallel to the floor. My Pillow is designed to fit to the shape of your body and hold your neck in the proper position. I've got to say, it's been doing a great job for me. Darryl, you've got the MyPillow as well. When I got it, I immediately had to get another one because Renee, my girlfriend, just fell in love with it. And it's a fantastic product. Plus, you can get it 2 for 1 with code FTL on their website at mypillow.com. Again, use code FTL. There's a 60-day money-back guarantee. So if you think that MyPillow isn't as great as we're saying that it is, no problem. You get your money back if you don't like it. Go to mypillow.com. The pillow itself is warranted for 10 years. And again, use code FTL. You'll get a second pillow for free. And did you ever wash a pillow that you had previously? Because from what I understand, that's just not possible with most pillows. But with MyPillow, you can actually wash it in your washer, put it in your dryer, and keep it clean.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever tried to put a pillow in the washer.
No, it's a bad idea. Most of them not designed for that, from what I understand. And MyPillow is. So
Possibly
very cool.
a foam rubber pillow that I had when I was much younger.
I don't know, man. Wouldn't that absorb the water pretty effectively?
Right, and then you put it in the dryer.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. That's why I said maybe.
MyPillow's designed for that. So go to mypillow.com. Get your pillow there. Use code FTL. You can get a second one free. Or you can use code FTL to get half off Just one. So pretty cool. MyPillow.com, code FTL. We're going to continue on the subject of the police in California, and what is it that they are saying? How is it they are opposing the new proposal referendum that's going to be on the ballot this November to decriminalize cannabis, basically? The story is coming from LAweekly.com. The marijuana legalization initiative that'll be on the ballot this November is a disappointment to many in the cannabis decriminalization movement. California's NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, the granddaddy of political pot groups, has not fully endorsed it. The critics say that Proposition 64, which will allow Californians 21 and older to possess up to 1 ounce of marijuana, is about as conservative as it could be without defeating the very purpose of legalization, which is allowing folks to enjoy weed without fear of arrest. Now, 1 ounce of cannabis isn't a whole lot, but it's also not a small amount either. It's, depending on somebody's usage habits, an ounce could last somebody a week to a month, just depending on how, constantly they're burning through the cannabis. Deputy Director of NORML, Ellen Komp, says it's 60% legalization.
I'm reading some info here that says that there would be a 15% excise tax and an additional $9.25 per ounce of flower and $2.75 ounce of leaf would be collected, and possession and cultivation of certain amounts for personal use would be allowed.
That's pretty good. Some observers say the point of Proposition 64's many restrictions, cities would still be able to ban dispensaries, marketing to minors would be prohibited, and illegal possession would still be punishable, is to make it more palatable to law and order voters. But the biggest law and voters in the Golden
Also
State,
fitting.
cops themselves, are also the biggest opponents of Proposition 64, also known as the Adult Use of Marijuana Act. Quote, "This is not a law enforcement jihad or reefer madness," said the city of Ventura's top cop, Ken Corney, president of the California Police Chiefs Association. He continued saying, "But Proposition 64 isn't about green leafy marijuana that people smoke at home or pass across the aisle at a concert. It's a for-profit play to bring the commercialization of marijuana to California." Now, I gotta say, this is a first for me. Normally the police, when they come and testify against cannabis decriminalization or legalization, they trot out all the old arguments, prohibitionist arguments. Marijuana is going to make you grow hair on your palms.
Gateway drug.
Yeah, it's going to make, black men have sex with white women. They trot all that stuff out. I'm exaggerating slightly. But they pretty much go through the prohibitionist
that's
textbook.
basically the things that were written in the newspapers by William Randolph Hearst
back in the 30s
about jazz musicians will be wooing the white woman.
It hasn't changed that much. They come out.
There was the guy, the governor of Maine, that said something not too long ago about the people coming to Maine to sell drugs or impregnating the white women.
And he wanted to put them to death, I believe. Didn't he want a death penalty for drug dealers?
I don't know if he wanted the death penalty, but he certainly didn't like the fact that there might be somebody that looks a little bit different having sex with a white woman in Maine.
I think it's interesting, though, that here in California, that's not here, we're in New Hampshire, but in California, this cop, the top cop, the head of the chiefs of police of all of California, his big argument is that he's trying to protect people from the commercialization of marijuana. Oh, yeah. Oh, this isn't like the weed you're just smoking at home or passing across the aisle. He says it's a for-profit play to bring the commercialization of marijuana to California. So he wants cannabis to continue to be illegal, which means to continue to arrest people who don't have a medical card in California.
To protect them from seeing billboards and commercials.
Yeah, and having, brands of cannabis that compete and different strains under different, companies. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. He's got more to say. We'll get to some of the other things the police are arguing in California against this proposed, basically a decrim. It's not really legalization, I don't think. Let's go on, though. First up, your calls and thoughts. Michael, you're in Connecticut. Go ahead with your thoughts. You're on Free Talk Live, watching via YouTube.
Hi, yes. I called back in January regarding my case with the Connecticut State Police, the Gotta Cover Our Ass Connecticut State Police case. You guys were on the air, and I was, telling you about how I recorded the Connecticut State Police harassing me for holding up a sign before a DUI checkpoint, as well as openly carrying. And they falsely charged me with a crime as well as fabricated evidence to charge me with those crimes because, and I quote, they had to cover their ass after they realized everything I was doing was legal. And I just wanted to call as a follow-up to let you guys know, after 10 months of prosecuting a nothing case, the state finally dismissed the charges against me
Excellent.
yesterday.
And what were the charges that they trumped up?
Creating a public disturbance and 2 counts of negligent pedestrian.
And all you were doing was standing where?
I was standing on a raised median before the on-ramp to the highway.
Now, of course, the police didn't charge themselves with creating the disturbance because before they showed up, it was just a man with a sign. But then when, the police showed up, then there was really an issue because they're
Flashy lights.
Yeah, they're flashing lights. They're parking probably in the road, blocking traffic. Good. Thanks for the call and the update on that, Michael. I appreciate it. Toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE Cannabis.
The final phase of extermination is set to commence now. And as population die-off becomes evident, you know it is the time of punishment in all that is written. The cover for mass die-off is evolution and global warming frauds, also used as false proof of their Christ. They are from the lines that were disinherited 2,000 years ago. Now they claim to be his Christ based upon blood type, DNA, and long lifespan. Go to unveilingthem.com. That's UNVEILING them.com.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of slingbow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Hey guys, Mark Claire here, lionsofliberty.com, where we strive to advance the ideas of liberty daily. We bring you the Morning Roar. That's right, every Monday to Friday we'll have a brand new edition of the Morning Roar, where we provide a roundup of some news stories that you may not find in the mainstream media or even in your typical social media newsfeed. We find stories that relate to the ideas of liberty and provide you with our liberty perspective on them. Every Monday, we have our longest-running feature, Mondays with Murray, named after the great libertarian Murray Rothbard, where we'll examine an article or an excerpt from his works and help convey his view, along with our little spin as well. We wrap it all up every Friday with Felony Friday, where our own John Odermatt goes out and takes a look at some sort of felony. There's felonies committed every day, whether it's a felony committed by the police, a politician, or even an average citizen. You can find all of this and so much more over at lionsofliberty.com. Advancing the ideas of liberty daily.
Arcade City is a ride-sharing app built by drivers, not a mega corporation. As a driver with Arcade City, you can keep all of what you earn. Sign up now to drive for or ride with Arcade City at arcade.freetalklive.com. Arcade City is connecting drivers directly with riders and has been making headlines for disrupting the ride-sharing industry. Sign up now at arcade.freetalklive.com. That's arcade.freetalklive.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it
And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Join us on the radio here. You can bring up whatever you want. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. We're discussing the opposition, what remains of it, to decriminalization of cannabis in California. There's Proposition 64, which will be on the ballot this November, the Adult Use of Marijuana Act, and, of course, the Police Chiefs Association is one of the biggest opponents to said act, not because of all the old prohibitionist mantra that you are used to hearing from the police, all the fear-mongering, scare tactics that they like to trot out about how scary and bad weed is, because they've lost that battle.
Right.
And it's interesting to watch the police desperately claw to keep a hold of prohibition when they've lost the intellectual discussion. There's no arguing that cannabis is more dangerous than alcohol. It's in fact far safer than alcohol. It's arguably one of the safest drugs known to man. It's certainly medicinally accepted by many doctors the world around, even if the U.S. federal government still considers it a Schedule I narcotic, which means it has no accepted medical use.
Right. Meanwhile, crystal meth is Schedule II.
Yeah, it's insane. Federal government, insane. But at the very least, they, for the most part, have been leaving alone the people who are legally able to sell in Colorado and Washington.
Right, because of the regulatory scheme. Even though the DEA has gone after some of the dispensaries in California, because the feds don't think that California's medical industry is sufficiently regulated. So I'm actually on the website, yesOn64.org.
Okay.
And here's how they describe the initiative, the Adult Use of Marijuana Act. Adults aged 21 plus will be allowed to possess marijuana and grow small amounts at home for personal use.
Nice.
Sale of marijuana will be legal and highly regulated to protect consumers and kids. And again, this is on their website.
The Yes website. This is the people promoting. Yeah, they're trying to pander to, as they said, the law and order crowd.
This measure brings California's marijuana market out into the open, much like the alcohol industry. That part sounds good. Bring it out in the open. Remove the hidden dangers associated with black market.
Yeah.
Like that.
You won't get arrested for less than an ounce.
Next sentence. It will be tracked, controlled, regulated, and taxed, and we will no longer be criminalizing responsible adults or incarcerating children.
Yeah.
I like the no longer criminalizing stuff.
That's really the only benefit to legalization, is that you're taking a product out of the black market and you're making it so people are not going to be arrested for it for the most part.
Yes.
With the exception of, prohibitions on smoking it in public or something like that. I believe Colorado still has that.
Right. I believe Colorado and Washington both still have that. And we know for a fact in Colorado that the people that are arrested more or cited more often for the consumption in public happen to be minorities.
Surprise,
at like
surprise.
3 to 1 compared to white people, even though white people make up a much larger percentage of the population in Colorado. They continue here that the AUMA includes toughest in the nation protections for children, our most valuable citizens. Protects workers, small businesses, law enforcement, and local communities. According to the independent legislative analyst and governor's finance director, these reforms will save the state and local governments up to $100 million annually in reduced taxpayer cost and raise up to $1 billion in new tax revenues annually.
Wow, that's a lot of billions.
Majority of revenue will be allocated to teen drug prevention and treatment, training law enforcement to recognize driving under the influence of drugs, protecting the environment from the harm of illegal marijuana cultivation, supporting economic development in communities disproportionately impacted by marijuana prohibition.
I'd like to know what the harm of illegal marijuana grows are. Exactly what's the harm of planting plants?
It harms the state in their budget area because they're not getting the $1 billion of tax revenue a year. They say that it protects I just read that. AUMA includes strict anti-monopoly provisions and protects small farmers, so California's marijuana industry is not overrun by mega corporations.
Which is what the chief of police is saying he's worried about. He doesn't want the California law to go into place, the Proposition 64, because he thinks that'll bring commercialization of marijuana.
Well, it will bring commercialization, but not necessarily
it's California.
Mega corporations. They conclude here that the measure builds on the bipartisan legislation signed by Governor Brown to control and regulate California's medical marijuana industry and is modeled after the nation's best practices from other states and the recommendations of the Lieutenant Governor's Blue Ribbon Commission on Marijuana Policy. There was a commission, Ian. We have to go with what the commission came up with.
It's just frustrating, listening to all of this and knowing that at some point some variant of this is going to come to other states. I mean, at what point all 50 of them will go to legal or decriminalize cannabis, I don't know.
And it wasn't really that long ago that it was, not illegal in the entire country. So like the, let's make things illegal stuff really started ramping up in like the mid 1900s. Yeah. And it was, I think, the
late 30s, 37 or whatever, for the Marijuana Tax Stamp Act.
Right, and then that got thrown out at the Supreme Court in 1969, I believe it was, which is why Nixon ramped up the drug war with the Controlled Substances Act in 70. But the last state law on criminalizing cannabis, I think, came about in possibly the 60s, maybe early 70s.
So in this case, let me jump back into the LA Weekly discussion here of what Ken Corney, the president of the California Police Chiefs Association, has to say. He subscribes to the theory, so far unproven, that the proposition's biggest financial backer, Holmby Hills tech billionaire Sean Parker, is in it to open the door to big marijuana profits for rich folks like himself. Corney's group is front and center among organizations opposed to Proposition 64, but the association actually endorsed medical marijuana regulation in California, a successful trio of Sacramento bills, the Medical Marijuana Regulation and Safety Act, enacted in September of 2015, that will standardize state and local licensing for dispensaries come 2018. While proponents of Proposition 64 say legal sales will essentially abide by those rules, Corney says the initiative is a sleight of hand. The officer, the chief of police, says, quote, "I think it's pretty clear an initiative that doesn't follow the regulatory scheme we agreed to and that was signed by the governor skirts around regulations. This is not the way to craft public policy on a drug such as marijuana." The board of directors of the California District Attorneys Association agrees. Those are the prosecutors. They recently voted unanimously to oppose Proposition 64. That group's CEO says, quote, "We believe that Proposition 64 as drafted significantly weakens existing regulations governing medical marijuana and would be ultimately detrimental to public safety in California." Well, I'd like to know exactly what the danger is from cannabis. If there's a danger to the public from cannabis besides a crate of it falling on someone's head, I'd really like to know what it is. There's never once been a recorded death due to cannabis use in the history of cannabis use. So what exactly is the public safety that is being put in jeopardy here?
And when you say there's never been a recorded death due to cannabis use, you mean there's never been a reported case of someone dying from an overdose of cannabis.
Or any dose of it, for that matter.
Right, but certainly somebody has smoked cannabis, done something stupid, and wound up dying.
That's probably happened, sure. But they might have done something stupid anyway.
Right.
Toll-free number
I'm
tonight.
just pointing out nobody's ever OD'd on cannabis.
Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Maybe you're out in California and you are paying close attention to this issue. We'd love to hear from you on Free Talk Live's live Saturday show.
People who can afford a LASIK procedure sure are lucky. Imagine being able to throw away your contacts and glasses. Imagine waking up tomorrow with 20/20 vision. Too bad everyone can't afford LASIK. Well, guess what? There's a company that agrees with you. TLC Laser Eye Centers is now offering great prices on high-quality LASIK to make it affordable for everyone. That means you get the latest FDA-approved all-laser LASIK technology for less than what others charge. And if you call right now, we'll schedule a free appointment so you can discover if LASIK is right for you. Results may vary. Call 1-800-930-9765. Even better, if you're one of the first 100 callers, ask about an extra $400 off your all-laser LASIK procedure. That's $200 off per eye. We've already performed over 2 million procedures. Let us help you. Discover how you can get the quality LASIK experience you deserve for less than what others charge. For your free appointment, call 1-800-930-9765. 1-800-930-9765.
Dangerous blood clot device alert. If you or a loved one had an IVC filter placed to prevent blood clots from traveling to your heart or lungs and suffered an injury, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. The FDA warns that IVC filters may cause serious complications, such as heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, and even death. These dangerous blood clot devices can break, and the metal fragments can travel to your heart or lungs, causing serious injuries. If you or a loved one suffered organ damage or other injuries from an IVC filter, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. This is an advertisement. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. InjuryHelpDesk.com is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com. I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin. mymagicmud.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can join us on the live Saturday edition here. We'll take your calls about whatever's on your mind. Also, cannabis decriminalization / legalization. I'm not really sure what to call what it is they're doing in California.
Tax and regulate. Call it tax and regulate.
Okay. Tax and regulate. Because they're going to sort of do that, but not for all of it, meaning that you could have less than an ounce, but if you've got more than that, they'll still put you in a jail cell. So it's not really full-on decrim or full tax and regulation. It's just fewer people will be arrested.
It's heavily regulated.
Yeah, right.
And the authors of this 62-page monstrosity
are
admitting that it's heavily regulated. And there is a tax if you go to a store and you buy it, which is the only way that they're saying you're allowed to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
You can grow for personal use, but you're not allowed to do a person-to-person sell under this. So if you buy it, within the confines of the statute, you do have to pay this 15% excise tax plus another tax of, I believe it was $9.25 per ounce of flour.
Oh, yeah. The state's going to get its cut.
$2 and something of some other type of something.
Yeah, they said leaf, I think, for the $2 tax, which no one really wants to buy leaves for anything. So toll-free number if you want to join us, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Skype username is LRN.FM. Let's go to the phones, to your calls, your thoughts. First up, it's Michael. He's in Indiana, listening to WIBC. Hello, Michael.
Hey, guys. I really appreciate you taking my phone call. I know I am in the absolute minority on this subject. I think that, first off, that, like I said, I don't have a dog in this fight in California. I'm just concerned about the American people and what we give ourselves over to.
What do you mean?
What I mean is that, drugs and alcohol and things of that nature. I agree 100% that everything that grows naturally on this planet should be absolutely 100% legal.
Okay, great.
And the drug issue within the United States of America, when it comes to pot, is a completely self-inflicted wound. That being said, when I was younger, I smoked weed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not stupid about weed. And I have never been so drunk in my life as my experiences that I've had when I was high.
Oh, right.
So,
that's unusual, by the way.
Maybe it's a body chemistry thing.
Yeah, everybody's different. Cannabis just may not be for you. It may affect you in a much more severe manner than it does other people.
Also might depend on the strain that was ingested, whether it was smoked, whether it was an edible. And the reason I mention that is because there are some people that they'll eat a brownie and 10 minutes later, I don't feel anything. Because when you smoke it, it goes straight to your head.
Right.
When you ingest it, it has to be digested and enter the bloodstream. And so then people that have never eaten an edible and know that it might take, an hour before you wind up feeling the effects, will then eat another one.
Bad idea.
And then 20 minutes later, I'm still not feeling anything. And then eat another one. And then
please do
half
some
an hour
research.
later,
Please
they're
do
like,
some.
I've got to hold the grass to keep from falling off of Earth.
Yeah, do a little research before you put a drug in your body. There's all kinds of resources now. There's no excuse to not know anything about a drug before you take it. And cannabis is probably one of the most well-studied of all known to man. So if somebody doesn't know that it takes a little while to digest things, they have obviously not ever done even the most cursory amount of looking into edibles. But so you had a bad experience personally, Michael. You support drugs being legal, or at the very least you said anything that grows naturally being legal. But what's the concern? It sounded like you had some sort of concern.
The concern is like, for example, in my opinion, strictly my opinion, I think that the trend in our society seems to be more towards. I know this is an abstract thought, but more towards the idea of one lack of control or responsibility, and separating yourself from all responsibility, and no regard for the rule of law. I mean, changing.
Are you
the
talking
law,
about the sort of the mentality of a drug user, somebody who is looking to alter their state of consciousness? Is that what you're saying? You feel like there's more of today than maybe there was 20, 30, 40 years ago? Is that what you're saying?
No. I'm saying just the mindset of. Well, that would be absolutely absurd if I said that in comparison to the 60s.
Okay, right, because that's what I was going to bring up. Okay, so I guess I'm still confused at what you're getting at.
And the 60s would be 50 years ago, not 20 or 30.
Whatever.
I'm sorry.
That was my mistake. So what is it that you're getting at here? Because I'm a little confused.
Concern about the rule of law and people wanting to use drugs that are currently illegal.
Correct, and it doesn't matter whether we make, I mean, if it's illegal, let's stick with the law, and because the law is no more effective. Our society is no more effective than the laws that we have on the books, and our abilities to be able to go ahead and enforce those laws and be able to.
But if they're bad laws, why should they be on the books?
I'm sorry?
If they're bad laws, why should they remain on the books? Why should there be this, whole respect for the rule of law when the laws are completely unjust and bad?
Because we the people forget our power. We the people make the change for the laws.
No, we didn't. No, politicians made those laws. We, the people, did not have anything to do with that.
We, the people, hold the politicians accountable.
No, you don't.
To hold them accountable.
No, well, that's just it.
We're supposed to.
There's no way to hold them accountable. You can't do it.
Congress has a 9% approval rating, and 93% of them get reelected. How is anybody being held accountable?
Ask your neighbors how many of them vote.
It doesn't matter. If a bunch more people go out to vote, hold on, Michael. If a bunch more people turn out to vote this election, we're still going to get either Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. The same thing's true of local elections. The choices are terrible. These are a bunch of power-mongering freaks who want to rule over people's lives, Republicans and Democrats alike. There really isn't a dime's worth of difference between the two of them. And yes, there are third parties, but the system is designed by the Republicans and Democrats to keep the third parties from competing on even close to an even keel.
Right,
so,
and when it goes to the congressional approval rating, and surveys back this up, while Congress as a whole has a very low approval rating, people by and large think that their member of Congress is different. They're all horrible, but
except mine.
Right, because my congressman brought us these federal dollars for this, and they're bringing in jobs, and they're
as though they ever saw a dollar.
They're keeping the military base in town, and that keeps my next door neighbor employed.
But taking and disregarding the personal responsibility that each American citizen has, and not taking and holding their governors and or political parties and or whatever system of government you use, not holding them accountable by being the responsible citizen that you need to be.
Well, first of all, in order to hold a government agent accountable, you have to have some meaningful way of holding them to accountability. So you can try to talk to some of these state representatives or U.S. representatives, and they won't talk to you because you don't have $100,000 for their next reelection campaign. So they don't really care
what
it is you have to say. So they'll ignore you unless some sort of thing blows up in the media that they can't ignore, in which case they'll try their best to patch it up, brush it under the rug, and hope everybody forgets about it by the time reelection time rolls around. But it sounded to me like you want to hold them accountable for enforcing the war on drugs, that you're not happy with the enforcement. You want maybe marijuana to be legal or other things that grow, but manufactured drugs like, let's say, MDMA or LSD or something like that, you want the war to continue.
I don't want the war on drugs to continue. I want the people to be responsible citizens and take the responsibility for being the government that they should be.
All right. So you support ending the war on drugs, but you want people to
respect the rule of law,
to pay attention to the government and keep them accountable. Thank you for the call, Michael. I appreciate it. Let's talk more about that coming up here. 855-450-FREE. How do you hold these people accountable? It's Free Talk Live.
Adam Kokesh has agreed to meet Bernie Sanders in any city in America on any day between now and the end of the year for a friendly debate on socialism versus voluntarism, in which Bernie can choose an objective moderator. To sweeten the deal, Roger Ver, a.k.a. Bitcoin Jesus, has offered that upon completion of a 3-hour debate in which both men have equal time, he will donate a total of $100,000 worth of Bitcoin to the charity of each man's choice, $50,000 apiece. Learn more at bernie.freetalklive.com.
Are you searching for your soulmate? Someone you can trust, who will never betray you or cooperate with the NSA? Stop searching. With EasyDNS, you found a keeper. EasyDNS does it all. Domain names, web hosting, and managed WordPress hosting. EasyDNS stands up for your internet freedom, and with servers in Canada, they do not cooperate with the NSA. Go to EasyDNS.com. You'll love their services or get a full refund. They guarantee it. And they accept Bitcoin. That's EasyDNS.com.
This is your Roberts & Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Friday, gold is $10 lower at $1,325 per ounce, and silver is 21 cents lower at $20.13 per ounce. Bitcoin is currently trading at $661 US. Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been helping clients buying and selling precious metals for nearly 40 years. For more information, give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, July 16th, 2016. Silver is trading at $20.24 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,338 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $668. Antiwar.com reports investigations into U.S. aid attempts to contract humanitarian aid shipments into Syria found the program rife with bribery and fraud, with U.S. Aid Inspector General Ann Barr saying some partners took advantage of the less than full and open competition. The U.S. program spends billions of dollars, but in many cases their local partners took bribes to decide who was going to win the biggest contracts and did not inspect deliveries. In one case, Barr notes a U.S. Aid partner who accepted food packages purely on weight and not on contents. This meant in at least one case that a shipment of food ration kits that were supposed to be lentils was just full of salt, and in other cases more expensive food or goods were substituted for cheaper alternatives and then billed at the higher price. Though Barr did not get too deeply into this aspect, she also revealed that about 1/5 of all complaints about the Syria programs related to shipments being diverted into the hands of various militant groups. USAID suspended 6 programs already related to this. Barr denied any aid was diverted to the Islamic State, but admitted a growing amount was ending up in the hands of Al-Qaeda's Nusra Front. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports presumptive Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump said on Twitter on Friday he has tapped Indiana Governor Mike Pence as his running mate, confirming what was widely reported on Thursday. The announcement had been scheduled to happen in person Friday at Trump Tower in Manhattan, but the event was canceled after the attack in Nice, France that killed dozens of people on Thursday night. Trump said the two would appear together at a news conference at 11 a.m. on Saturday. Pence is a first-term governor who was up for re-election. He had faced a noon Friday deadline to have his name removed from the gubernatorial ballot in Indiana. His selection comes 3 days before the Republican National Convention kicks off in Cleveland. Trump's opponent, Hillary Clinton, responded swiftly to Pence's selection. Her campaign sent out an email to reporters calling Pence the most extreme VP pick in a generation. John Podesta, Clinton's campaign chairman, called Pence an incredibly divisive and unpopular running mate. Pence, a six-term congressman prior to becoming governor in 2013, brings a conservative and hawkish record to Trump's ticket, including several issues where he and Trump hold differences. Pence has been running for re-election in what polls showed was a close race against Democrat John Gregg, who Pence narrowly defeated 4 years ago. It will now be up to the state party to name Pence's replacement on the November ballot. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and Numery supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $3 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. Reuters reports New York Governor Andrew Cuomo ordered security tightened on mass transit and at airports, bridges, tunnels, and other crucial transportation links following Thursday's deadly truck attack in Nice, France. In New York City, extra police from the Anti-Terror Force and other units of the New York City Police Department patrolled locations associated with the French government and heavily trafficked areas such as Times Square, according to Mayor Bill de Blasio. De Blasio said on WNYC Radio's Brian Lehrer show, "We are absolutely on alert." He said there was no specific threat against New York City. Cuomo said late on Thursday in a statement that New York State Police and a joint task force of soldiers, airmen, naval militia, and National Guard deployed extra personnel to the New York City area in the hours after at least 84 people were killed at a Bastille Day celebration on the French Riviera. New York City Police Commissioner Bill Bratton said on Friday, after learning of the attack, the New York City Police Department sent detectives already on assignment in Paris and The Hague to Nice to help authorities and to gather intelligence to send home. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
It's the Onion Radio News. An area man doesn't know what to do with all the extra ketchup packets. This is Doyle Redland reporting. After finishing his Big Bacon Classic combo, Erie, Pennsylvania resident and Wendy's patron Don Turnby, 38, expressed uncertainty today regarding what to do with all the extra ketchup packets. Turnby had asked for extra ketchup upon placing his order for a ketchup-necessitating Biggie Fries.
Well, I knew it was too many ketchups because I usually only need 3 or 4 for my Biggie Fries, but I just took them anyway.
At his nearby home, the Turnby pantry is crammed with hundreds of other restaurant condiments, including single-serving packets of Taco Bell mild sauce, Arby's horsey sauce, soy sauce, McDonald's Chicken McNuggets hot mustard sauce, pats of shed spread country crock from Ponderosa Steakhouse, and a selection of Smucker's jellies and jams from several area diners. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up what you want. Just dial in toll free here, 855-450-FREE. Cannabis legalization, decriminalization, something big's coming up in California on November's vote. Proposition 64. the Adult Use of Marijuana Act, which you called a 62-page monstrosity, Darryl.
Yes, I'm looking at this thing. There's an entire chapter on packaging and labeling.
Ugh.
Prior to delivery or sale at a retailer, marijuana and marijuana products shall be labeled and placed in a resealable, child-resistant package.
Keep the kids safe.
And then there's this huge warning that must be on there that says that this package contains marijuana, a Schedule I controlled substance, blah, 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 blah. Don't use it if you're pregnant. It impairs your cognitive functions.
Some would argue that it'll help your cognitive functions. I mean, a lot of great artworks, musics have been created on drugs, specifically cannabis.
And then it says about for packages containing only dried flowers, the net weight must be placed on the package. Identification of the source and date of cultivation, the type of marijuana or marijuana product, and the date of manufacture and packaging. The appellation of origin, list of pharmacologically active ingredients, including but not limited to amount of THC, CBD, and other cannabinoid content. Blah, blah, blah.
It's just frustrating hearing all these regulations.
List of any solvents, non-organic pesticides, herbicides, and fertilizers that were used in the cultivation, production, and manufacture.
Wow.
A warning if nuts or other known allergens are used, and I'm guessing, or produced in the same building.
Okay, right.
Because that's how it generally... I've bought a pack of sunflower seeds.
Yep.
That, believe it or not, said this product contains sunflower seeds and was produced in a facility producing seeds and nuts.
Right.
Of course it was, because it's a package of sunflower seeds.
Our toll-free number tonight is 855-450-FREE. So we'll get into some more of the arguments from people against Proposition 64 here in moments. We actually had a caller in the last hour who brought up this idea of holding government accountable. Like, we need to get people out and vote, was what the caller suggested. That's going to help things. No, it won't, because the people that you're voting for are usually scumbags. These are the people who are either the incumbent or the scumbag who wants to replace the incumbent. But for the most part, it's not like you've got a bunch of Ron Pauls out there who want to get elected to office and who are qualified to be elected to office. So the idea that just getting out and voting is going to change things is pretty ridiculous. But maybe you've got a better suggestion as to how to hold government accountable. There's one here that was posted on our Facebook page. So we've been doing Facebook live streaming for the last couple weeks here on Free Talk Live, and it makes it pretty easy for people to respond to questions without actually having to call in. Of course, the best way to get your thoughts on the air is to get on the phones, but Joshua Freeman says, remove all laws giving amnesty to agents of the state, or pass a law stating explicitly that any law prohibiting any activity cannot have exemptions for agents of the state. And I do like the idea.
Interesting.
I do like the idea of holding the state agents individually accountable for their actions. There are things... immunities that they are granted.
I believe there are 3 different types of immunities. There's sovereign immunity that they have just by virtue of being an agent of the state, and the state a long time ago decreed that they were sovereign because the Lady of the Lake thrust a sword at Arthur and declared it to be Excalibur or something. Then there's statutory immunity, which means things written into statute. And then there's qualified immunity, which is very similar to sovereign immunity of, by virtue of being an agent of the state, they have this other
I'm still not sure.
God-given immunity because, the Lady of the Lake, something.
I'm still not sure what the differences are between all of those. It seems like if the sovereign immunity doesn't cover it, the qualified immunity will, and so pretty much there's no way to
the statutory.
Right.
No, see, we wrote it in here. Chapter blah, 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 paragraph 3 says government agents are not covered under this statute.
So, there's pretty much no way to hold individual agents of the state accountable for their actions, and so having it so those immunities were to go away, I think would be a pretty good step in the right direction. If you want to share your thoughts, you can join us here, 855-450-FREE, to the phones and to the fun. Nathan is in Lynchburg, Virginia, listening to WLNI-FM. Hey, Nathan.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, you're on with Ian and Darryl. Go ahead.
Hey, you guys are talking about legalization of marijuana.
Yes, sir.
I was raised in a very Christian, strict home, and was, throughout the 80s with the whole war on drugs and everything, was brainwashed to believe that it was wrong and evil. And it wasn't until I actually left the United States of America, traveled and backpacked around the world for 4 years, that I realized how marijuana, that it's not an evil drug as they say. It's actually it was very beneficial to me. I've been ADHD all my life and didn't even know it until I started smoking marijuana. And it actually calms me down and allows me to think like a normal person. Instead of being all over the place, I can actually concentrate on what I'm doing. I was just wondering if you have ever heard of the adverse effects of marijuana, because for me, it's not addictive. It's not like cigarettes. Cigarettes are killing me.
Mm-hmm.
Can't quit them. It's the hardest thing for me to get rid of, and yet those are legal. But they make a drug, or what they call a drug, that really isn't a drug. It's just something that grows naturally, something that how are you going to make it illegal when it's growing everywhere? They've never been able to control it. Well, I don't understand the whole fight against it. I can understand heroin and cocaine and some of the other drugs. Those are drugs, but it's not addictive. You can't overdose on it. The worst thing that could happen is when you smoke it, you fall asleep or you eat a lot.
Right.
I just don't understand. I never understood the evilness of it.
It's not. I mean, it sounds like, from my experience with it, you're absolutely right. Obviously, everybody has their own individual experiences as far as what it does for them, but it generally does not do harm to an individual in any sort of long-term basis.
I mean,
but
again, if you want to talk about something that's evil, consider alcohol.
Oh, yeah.
Way more
alcohol will completely change some of the personalities who utilize it, from nice guy to mean person to angry drunk to whatever. And you can talk to honest cops. They'll tell you how many times have you been called to a bar to break up a fight or arrest somebody for attacking another person, and how often does that happen with cannabis? It's almost never. With right. Cannabis users. So to speculate briefly on your question of, well, why is this happening? Why is this innocent, peaceful plant that is so useful for so many medicinal purposes? I mean, a lifesaver, literal lifesaver for some people medicinally. Why is it that this thing is prohibited? Why does that continue? Well, you have to go back to the sort of the racist, prohibitionist roots of cannabis prohibition, the specifically anti-competitive or protectionist roots. You mentioned Hearst before, Darryl.
Right.
William Randolph Hearst. You had, I believe, the DuPont Corporation.
Certainly.
And those were the two that I remember, at least, that lobbied hard to criminalize cannabis because it was a competitor. In Hearst's case, as a newspaper man.
Specifically, hemp was the competitor.
Right.
And hemp looks like cannabis.
It's the male plant of the...
But Thomas Jefferson grew hemp.
He did.
Some of our founding fathers, they grew this plant because it was a very strong plant. It was stronger than most.
Oh, now you're just using logic. And logic doesn't work with politicians. That's why they wound up calling it marijuana instead of cannabis, because people knew what cannabis was. People didn't know what marijuana was.
That's Mexican slang, right?
I've never heard of no marijuana before.
Yeah. And then they made
look, here's one of my points is, right, we're evolving as a society with the LGBT community, with racism, with every other issue. How comes this issue of cannabis is still frozen in time in the 50s?
It's amazing that we're in the 21st century and that cannabis is still illegal in the supermajority of states. I'm with you, Nathan. Thanks for the call tonight. Appreciate your thoughts and your story. Sure. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. So to take it a little bit further, you had all these lies that were peddled about cannabis way back when, before anybody could do their own independent research through, let's say, the internet. They didn't have that back then. And they passed these laws. The war on drugs ramped up during the Nixon administration and ramped up during the Reagan administration. And, now you basically got cops who just want to bring in big budgets. That's really what it's about. They want to protect their power.
Policing for profit.
Right, and protect their budgets. 855-450-FREE.
This is a warning to all household pests, to all cockroaches, spiders, ants, rodents, and other pests. If you've just made yourself at home in someone else's home, you'd better hope the owners never hear about Terminix, because Terminix has the know-how and the means to do whatever it takes to remove you from that home. Terminix has over 85 years of experience exterminating invaders like you. And right now, they're making it easier than ever for homes to be protected by offering a free pest estimate to every caller at 1-800-689-2939. Cockroaches, spiders, ants, rodents, and other pests. This is your eviction notice. With one call, Terminix will remove you from the home you've invaded. If you think you can simply come back later, think again. Terminix will protect that home with a 100% satisfaction money-back guarantee, so you can never return. Warning, homeowners are calling Terminix right now for a free pest estimate at 1-800-689-2939. 1-800-689-2939.
Limitations apply. See plan for details.
Have you checked your Google search results lately? Search results are usually the first impression that people form of you or your business. So make sure that they create a positive impression with ReputationDefender.com. What the internet says about you can have a big impact on your life and your livelihood, even if it's not true. Fortunately, you can now control how you look online and in online search results with ReputationDefender.com. Call 800-831-0771 now. That's 800-831-0771 for your free reputation analysis. If you have negative material from an ex-employee, upset patient, or former client, newspaper article, legal issue, social media, or other source showing up in your search results, you can combat it with ReputationDefender.com. Our dedicated experts in patented technology can help make your online search results look their best. Call 800-831-0771 to learn more. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. Or visit ReputationDefender.com.
If you're David, a few well-chosen words can help level the playing field with Goliath. I'm Holland Cook from SurvivalSpeech.com. Recently, I saw a Yellow Pages ad for an appliance repair company, and the headline read, "Why wait for Sears?" If you're going to the Yellow Pages, the Dead Sea Scrolls of advertising, you're ready to buy right now. So this is an attention-grabbing message. And how about the plumber whose radio ad says, "Call by noon Thursday, and we'll be there Saturday at no extra cost"? Smart guy. Most plumbing firms give their crew the weekend off. This one gives them Sunday and Monday off. In the words of a respected advertising executive, cut to the chase, make it quick, and tell me exactly what you can do for me, especially if you're looking for work. For more tips on critical communication skills for the way things are now, hit SurvivalSpeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live Saturday edition of the program. You can join us here toll free at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And there are a lot of choices in the marketplace when it comes to cryptocurrency wallets. All of them are free, so they have to compete on the basis of reliability. They have to compete on features. And there's only one wallet that I know of that holds Bitcoin, Ether, and DAO tokens. It's Jaxx. Plus, it happens to be programmed by a Free Talk Live listener. You can get it at jaxx.io, jaxx.io, or just visit your favorite app store for Google or Apple. All the data in the app is stored client-side, which means the company that created Jaxx does not have access to your funds. It's cross-platform, meaning you can use it on your smartphone, your tablet, your laptop, your desktop computer, pretty much whatever operating system you're using. There's probably a Jaxx version for you, which means you can access your same Bitcoin from different locations, different computers. Very, very cool. It's super easy to back up and recover your funds if need be. And Jaxx's ultimate aim is to build you a digital command center for your life, giving you control over coins, currencies, contracts, identity, and more. It's control in the palm of your hand. Jaxx.io. That's JAXX.io. Let's continue with your phone calls and thoughts here. We got Ricky. He's on the line in Pennsylvania. Go ahead, Ricky.
Gentlemen, good evening. Hey. And if I may, Brother Ian and Brother Darryl, that would be the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Okay. Go ahead, Ricky. You're on the air.
Okay. I got to change this up a little bit after the first caller. Michael, did he mention what location he was from?
Probably, but I don't keep track of that stuff. After the callers,
I don't either.
After the caller's gone off the air, I have no record of who has called.
Understood.
I also don't recall what his name was, but I do remember that he supports the rule of law, and
I think it was Michael.
Something about wanting the people to recognize their power as the government. Which, again, doesn't really make a whole lot of sense because, no, it's bureaucrats and other people that are actually enforcing things that
the
call
whole
themselves
we the people,
the government.
The whole we're the government, we the people thing is just, it's a myth. I mean, there's nothing accurate about it. You are not the government unless you are, but you probably aren't, because even if you are a government worker, you still don't get to decide much about what your job does. But ultimately, it's them who are the government, and we are its victims. They aren't our protectors. They're not out there doing us any favors. They're just a big criminal gang that enriches themselves off the backs of all of the rest of us who, basically pay them their salaries.
As George Carlin says, it's a big club and you ain't in it.
Exactly.
And it's the same club they use to beat you over the head.
Ricky, go ahead.
Okay. And you are correct. When it comes to this state, you are correct, Ian. And as Brother Darryl pointed out, about the lady in the lake. I understand his analogy perfectly well, but I will be getting into that more another night. But as far as the caller who called in, he spoke about how his experience was. Myself, I have a totally different point of view than he does. Now, one thing is he mentioned about being drunk, and he mentioned about how cannabis. Drunk has never been worse than how he felt on cannabis. If it was just cannabis, maybe that was laced. It may have been. I have never seen any.
He did make it sound like he'd tried it more than once. So if he's had it more than once and he had an adverse reaction, it's less likely that it was some sort of laced product more than once. I mean, that's just been my experience. Very, very rare to come across laced
but he
cannabis.
could have had something that was very strong and didn't know that it was strong, and he smoked it like you'd smoke a cigarette, where he smoked the entire joint by himself. It was like, well, I smoke an entire cigarette by myself.
We didn't ask enough questions about that, exactly what the circumstances were. I accept somebody's statement about how something affects them. I mean, even though my personal experience is that cannabis is benign and, just a pleasant stone or a pleasant high, and yes, there are some slight differences to me between the different varieties of them out there. It's never been any sort of extreme effects. But I do remember when I was a teenager smoking cannabis that it was more intense back then. It was, it was a new experience, so my body hadn't quite acclimated to it in the way that it has now. And so there have been some times where I've done cannabis and I've had a very, very, I wouldn't say it was like being drunk, but it was more like tripping to me. But I suspect that last caller hadn't had much experience with tripping.
Right, and, there are certain types of alcohol that you're supposed to drink like an ounce of because it has so much alcohol. If your first experience with alcohol is, I drank a glass of alcohol. Well, what was it was vodka. Well, you're supposed to have like small amounts of that, not a 16-ounce glass of it like you would sit down and drink a pint of beer.
Ricky, was there more you wanted to share about your experience with cannabis?
Yes, absolutely. But before that, I would like to mention a quote. Referring to once again what you said there, the caller said about in his opinion only. Now, Harlan Ellison said when asked by an interview, there was an individual that criticized him on his work, and the interviewer said to him, "Well, don't you think that people are entitled to their opinion?" Now, Harlan Ellison said, in return to that, he said no, because, you know, he is not entitled to his opinion. People are not entitled to their opinion because people are entitled to their informed opinion, not just their opinion.
Well, no, you can be entitled to an uninformed opinion. You just don't have the right to enforce it upon other people. Ricky, thanks for the call. Toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. You can be uninformed if you want to be. That's your freedom, to be as ignorant as you would like on various different subjects. But please don't force your ignorance upon me. Don't make it so I have to follow your worldview, which might not be entirely intelligent or researched, because you think that's the right way, that's the way things should be done. It's that force.
Right, and I've even seen people give some, you know, uninformed opinion, and then when somebody says, wait a second, that's BS, they're like, I've got freedom of speech, I can say that. Well, I'm not saying you can't say it. I'm just pointing out that it's inaccurate. Right. But freedom of speech...
Yeah, sure. Well, part of freedom of speech is that I get the freedom to point out that you're wrong. Yes. Let's go to your calls here. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE. We go to Jim. He's in Indiana listening to WIBC. Hello, Jim.
Yes.
Welcome. You're on the air.
Oh, I'm on the air. Fine and Eddie. I've been listening while I've been out here working in the yard. I got my Bluetooth headset on and just enjoying this. I'm an old fart. I'm 71 years old. And I've never put anything in my face, legal or illegal, and set fire to it. I basically have always took the health route in terms of avoiding things that smoked.
Mm-hmm.
That said, I've had the life experience of having my wife killed in a car wreck, and me and my daughter injured so badly that we had $2 million in medical bills. Now, this was not, as people always ask me, gee, was the person drunk that hit you? No, they weren't. They were most likely playing with their cell phone. But
yep.
the principle is the same, and that is that a distracted or impaired driver is a danger to other people. How do you guys that push for legalization of cannabis, marijuana, whatever you want to call it, feel about the idea of holding people strictly accountable? And now, by strictly, that doesn't mean just a jail sentence. That means you hurt somebody because you're high. I don't care whether it's booze, dope, whatever. You ought to have to basically be that person's slave for the rest of their life.
Let's talk about it here, Jim. Good question. Thank you for the call, and we'll address that on the way here. It's Free Talk Live.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, ContractorExam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today. Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of slingbow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Free Talk Live, the show where anyone can call about whatever they want. And we do mean anyone.
If you're doing something very interesting, or you have a reputation for doing something very interesting,
yeah,
then you become more interesting to track.
I love how dramatic you are.
Then you become... Oh, my. Yeah. Well, I worked in psychotropic substances when I was working for the CIA.
Yeah. So you were testing, what, LSD or that sort of thing, or what?
Hey, do you think I'm going to say on the air?
You've already told us you work for the CIA.
You couldn't possibly find out who I am.
The way that you speak and your tone of voice, you sound like Cruella DeVille. I've noticed it from the moment you got on the phone.
I even look like her.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Dial in, join us on the radio waves. The toll-free number for you is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well. You can join us there at Skype username lrn.fm. We had Jim on the line from Indiana, and he brought up the idea of strict enforcement of drug use when it comes to driving. That's one of the things he's concerned with. He sounded like he was open to the idea of, cannabis being legal, for instance, but has some real concerns with road safety. And this is one of the trickiest areas of the whole decriminalization, legalization debate. The law and order crowd want to crack down on the roads if the drug's going to be legal, but the problem is the tests that I have been aware of so far for cannabis use will detect cannabis use within the last month. So
in most cases,
yeah. I mean, if you're a heavy user, the metabolites or whatever they are that are left over in your body after the actual use of cannabis are there for quite a while, for a few weeks at least. And so if you get pulled over and you get tested, then it could look like to the police that you're on cannabis, but you're not actually inebriated or high in any way by the cannabis at that point. It could have been a week since you've used cannabis,
right?
And so you're not actually high. So that's one of the problems with the testing system as we know it. But I don't disagree with Jim's idea that if you cause an accident, you should have to pay the person's medical bills. It should be your responsibility. That I agree with, regardless of whether you're on cannabis.
Right. That's what I was going to point out, is that you're saying whether you're impaired in any kind of way or not, you should be held responsible if you cause an accident.
Well, he said that, there's people who are on their phones, people who are changing the radio station, people who are yelling at someone in the back seat. All of these things are possible distractions that could lead to an accident.
And there are some states that do have laws that just prohibit distracted driving.
Right.
Which could be just driving in general, because you get distracted by some guy that cut you off, and then you forget to pay attention to the pedestrian running out into the street.
So you can join us here. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Let's go to Douglas. He's in Indiana listening to WIBC. Hey, Douglas.
Good gentlemen.
Hey there. You're on the air.
A topic dear to my heart.
Thanks.
So, I wanted your take on the fact that the federal government does hold the patent on medicinal marijuana. And as you read through the patent, it does specifically say that it cures certain cancers, anti-epileptic, and different applications and uses against diseases. However, at the federal level, it is illegal giving it to some states to have the decision. I know they're not going to mess with Colorado and such, they say. However, when you look at big pharmacy, they're allowed to manufacture the synthetic versions, like Marinol, for instance, and the synthetic blends, they are synthesizing the THC, which is not necessarily the medicinal component of the natural plant. And to me, that is just, it does not make any sense. If they have the patent for the medical marijuana as the plant and list the cures, yet they give the approval to big pharmacy to make synthetic versions of it, and it's not even the similar part of the medicinal part of the plant.
So there's a couple parts to that question. First is about patents. Now, I am not a patent lawyer, so I don't understand how someone could patent a plant. I don't get that. That's confusing to me. But further, I think patents in general should be abolished. I don't think that there's any need for patents. I think that patents actually get in the way of innovation, and there's been a lot of work. Dr. Mary Ruwart does a great job of explaining that in her book, Healing Our World, and how the patent system actually inhibits innovation while claiming to protect it. You know, the claim of the patent is that, an inventor needs the patent in order to protect his invention from people who might copy it, and thereby be more effective at marketing it than he is. And there's a lot of reasons to really consider getting rid of patents. One of them is the idea of patent trolls, which are lawyers who basically acquire patents on various different inventions through schemes, essentially, that then lock the inventors themselves out from making any money off of their invention.
And I'm looking at some information on this patent, and yes, there is a patent. It is patent number US 6630507, but it only covers CBD. It does not cover THC, and it does not include the entirety of the cannabis plant.
So they patented the chemical CBD, which is one of the active chemicals in cannabis?
Yes. So the patent is titled...
and it's the
title?
U.S. government?
Cannabinoids as antioxidants and neuroprotectants. It's specifically the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. The patent was initially filed by a group of scientists working for the National Institute of Mental Health, which is part of the National Institutes of Health.
So yeah, it's not uncommon for the government to say one thing from one department and then a completely other thing from another department. It's ridiculous, really, the whole idea. I don't know if I'd answered all of your question there, though, Douglas.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it is a ridiculous situation. You had an earlier caller that was talking about how detrimental to your health cigarettes and tobacco is. And my thought, when you compare that, yes, alcohol does have legitimate medicinal uses. Sure. However, the majority of alcohol is used recreationally, and there are far more proven medical uses for marijuana. And yes, there will be recreational use, and my point is, people are doing it anyway. When you talk about the war on drugs, there is not one person out there, I don't feel, I'll talk generally here, that says, I would smoke marijuana, but it's illegal. I mean, very few, if any.
Yeah.
However, my feelings is when they subsidized tobacco for years, if they really are that bored on something to do, why not make tobacco illegal and they chase people selling a dime bag of cigarette tobacco?
Oh, don't give them any ideas. I mean, they probably would do that if the tobacco companies weren't so influential in politics and, basically buying out both the Republicans and Democrats. But, of course, I don't support any kind of prohibition because, like you said, it'll then result in tobacco crackdowns. And we've already got cops strangling men in the streets over selling loosies. Of course, that would get even worse if tobacco were made completely illegal. Douglas, thanks for the call tonight. Appreciate your thoughts. Our toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. Bob is in Virginia Beach listening to WNIS. Hey, Bob, you're on with Ian and Darryl on Free Talk Live.
Hi, how are you doing today?
Welcome, Bob. You're on the air.
I just wanted to say that the war on drugs and the war on prostitution, war on gambling, any vice crime, any nonviolent, victimless crime in general is really stupid and should always obviously be decriminalized, regulated, and legalized. A good reason for the liberals to legalize and regulate is because 80 to 85% of all gun deaths, murders, homicides, or any 80 to 85% of homicides in general are drug related in the sense that they are gang related. And if you get rid of the war on drugs, you also get rid of the fuel and the supply line in terms of money for all the gangs, including the Mexican drug cartels
and the police.
And, one more thing, yes, well, yeah, I guess that's true, but you can still fund the police the same or whatever. I don't know. I just wanted to say one more thing, and that was Al Capone in the 1920s and 1930s was incredibly powerful and almost took Chicago over. There was a reason why he almost took Chicago over is because of prohibition of alcohol, and his gang was affiliated with was empowered by illegal alcohol because the government was stupid enough to create a black market that the evil people will be able to take advantage of. If you want the evil in this country to stop in terms of gang murders, in terms of gangs in general, MS-13, put up a border of some kind, or at least regulate your borders and make drugs, prostitution, gambling, any victimless crime legal.
You are half right, Bob. I almost agreed with everything until the border portion.
Well, the whole thing of crossing a border illegally, that's a victimless crime.
Right.
Well,
so you're sort of contradicting yourself.
But here's the
Hold
deal.
on, Bob.
Hold on. We'll bring you back. We'll bring you back. Give you another chance to explain yourself there. Because I agree with you. No one's getting harmed by someone walking over an imaginary line in the sand or the forest or wherever. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. But everything else he says, man, I agree. Legalize it. Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
The root cause of most of society's ills is neither malice nor negligence, but a mere superstition, an unquestioned assumption which has been accepted on faith by nearly everyone of all ages, races, religions, education, and income levels. The Most Dangerous Superstition by Larkin Rose exposes the myth for what it is, showing how nearly everyone, as a result of one particular unquestioned assumption, is directly contributing to violence and oppression without even realizing it. Find The Most Dangerous Superstition on Amazon and larkinrose.com.
My computer is so slow, it's making me crazy.
I used to have that problem.
Did you quit using a computer, or did you buy a new one?
No, I called Geeks On Site. They made an appointment to visit my home and showed up the same day.
You mean they didn't ask you to bring your computer to a shop? That's what happened when I called a support company.
Geeks On Site can go to your home or business or even repair your computer online. They have 24/7 emergency service.
If you're having problems with your PC or Mac, call Geeks On Site, 1-800-591-1682. Our friendly certified computer repair experts are available 24/7. Call now for a free diagnosis, 1-800-591-1682. Data recovery, virus removal, and maintenance for all laptops, desktops, printers, and networks. That's Geeks On Site for friendly certified computer repair experts, available 24/7 over the phone or in your home or business. Just call 1-800-591-1682. That's 1-800-591-1682, 1-800-591-1682.
Is spreading the message of liberty and peace around the globe worth 15 cents per day to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. Last year, we did a fundraiser that successfully covered the costs of continuing our African channel. This year, we're hoping to raise enough to fund a new satellite signal that will cover Europe, North Africa, and much of the Middle East. You can donate as much or as little as you like via the Indiegogo campaign at fund.lrn.fm. And there are perks available like sitting in on your favorite LRN.FM show, exclusive shiny badges, or even naming a satellite channel. Please contribute now at fund.lrn.fm and help us continue our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. The fundraiser ends August 19th, so please visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. That's fund.lrn.fm.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for lrn.fm in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free, at apps.lrn.fm.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Join us on the radio here. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Our current caller on the line, we're going to bring him back in a moment. He says legalize everything. All victimless crimes. He says cannabis.
Except for crossing borders.
Drugs. Yeah, well, he wasn't entirely consistent, but he said legalize drugs, legalize gambling, legalize prostitution. And I totally agree with that. I don't think if nobody's getting hurt, it should be illegal. Those things should be legal. You should be able to engage in consensual acts with other human beings without the police getting involved. It's none of their damn business, and the government doesn't deserve a cut. So no taxes either, please. Let's go all the way with this legalization idea and just have the end of prohibition. I don't support regulatory schemes. I would only support regulatory schemes because they're slightly better than prohibition. Because a regulatory scheme means fewer people going to prison, fewer people going to jail.
Yes.
So I would accept it on a harm reduction approach, but generally I really just like the idea of ending the war on drugs and allowing drugs to be sold just like, in an unregulated state. Let the market decide what the regulations, if any, should be. We don't need 62 pages like California has in this new legalization or decrim effort, whatever you want to call it, regulate and tax effort that's going on out there. It's going to appear on the November ballot. A 62-page law that no one who's voting for it is actually going to have actually read this thing. Maybe you, Darryl, would actually sit through and read.
Oh, I'm not going to read all 62 pages. I skimmed through.
Well, you don't live in California, but you might if you actually lived out there.
This section looks interesting. This section, I start to glaze over. All right, let me skip down to this section, do a search for this keyword.
So I agreed with what Bob was saying there in Virginia Beach. We're going to bring him back here for the most part until he got to the statement about the border, which, as you pointed out, Darryl, and correctly, crossing the border without government permission is yet another victimless crime. So you want to legalize gambling, you want to legalize prostitution and drugs, but then make it a criminal act to walk somewhere?
Well, no, I don't think it should be a criminal act. All I'm stating, though, is that we have a problem. The problem is we do have a huge, a pretty bad murder rate in this country. It's not as bad as many countries. I'm aware of that. We have a big violence problem, but I'm just saying from the talk to the if you want to get somebody to pass this stuff, a good reason would be the reduction of murder rates. And a lot of the people that are coming across the border illegally happened. And I understand that obviously not every single Mexican is a rapist and murderer. Obviously, contrary to what Donald Trump supposedly thinks. What the reality of the situation is, unfortunately, a large portion, not a large percentage, but a big population within that giant population of people illegally coming across the border are people like MS-13.
I don't agree
Mexican drug cartels.
Yeah, not based on the statistics that I've seen. The statistics that I've seen are that immigrants, by and large, commit crimes at a lower rate than people that are born in the United States.
I agree, but what I'm saying is if we half attempt to actually vet the people that do come across the border, you would stop people like MS-13.
No, you wouldn't.
You'd stop MS-13 by legalizing everything anyway.
Well, that's where you were right. So you were right when you said to legalize these things.
Forget the border.
Because what you're missing though, Bob, is that when something is illegal, you then put it into the hands of the gangs, right? So you get that on drugs, prostitution, and gambling. When those things are guns, also when those things are illegal, when they're prohibited, then that puts money into the pockets, billions of dollars into the pockets of these drug gangs and other gangs around the country. If you make all those things legal, then those gangs are not going to have anything that they can do business with anymore. If everything's legal, then they can't make money anymore on the things that they historically, classically have made money on. What the hell else are they going to do? Well, if you make crossing the border illegal, then the gangs are going to start smuggling people.
No, sorry, I was talking to my coworker.
Okay, well, I'll let you get back to work, Bob. Thanks for the call, man. I appreciate it. So if you prohibit border crossings illegally, which is already prohibited, then you get coyotes. You get gang members whose job it is to take a busload or a truckload or however many they can load up in the back or wherever vehicle, take it across the border, pay off border guards if necessary, get money from the people who want to take that ride. They understand they're going to be at some level of risk. There's the chance that they'll be sold into slavery when they get into the United States, that they may not have gotten in with a good coyote who's just going to turn them loose, because there's a kind of coyote who's going to load up a van, collect the money from everybody, and then, kick them out when they get to the United States side. And then there's the kind of coyote who collects money from people and then just turns them over to, some sort of slave monger on the U.S. side of the border. And I'm sure there are other variants on it that I haven't thought of. But either way...
And the variants on the good ones that drop them off somewhere, there's the ones that, all right, you're in the middle of the Mojave, have a good day. And then there's the ones, all right, you're in the middle of downtown Tucson, where you're closer to stuff and civilization and less chance of you dying in the 100-degree heat.
And you might die in the truck on the way over there, too. That happens sometimes as well. It's not a safe thing to do to be a human smuggler. And you're going to see that happening and you do see that happening as crossing the border illegally is prohibited. So again, legalize all victimless crimes. That would include border crossings.
Yes.
And if you're afraid of the gang members, then he was absolutely right. Just legalize everything that's prohibited. And then what are they going to do? I mean, then the only thing gangs could possibly do would be like rob a grocery store or convenience store or something like that.
Or what they might do if Mexico still heavily subsidizes their gasoline, they might try to smuggle that into the U.S. and then sell it a lot cheaper than what it sells in the U.S., but more than what they would get in Mexico.
It's a tough operation, though. You're going to move a lot of product.
But we know that people in Venezuela are doing stuff similar because, price controls in Venezuela and horrible socialism has made it to where
they're smuggling
people
gas
are
out.
Smuggling everything out of Venezuela.
And that's so they can go to Colombia and get paid in cash, U.S. dollars for those products.
Come back, get like 1,300 Bolivar Fuerte on the streets.
But you got guys in Venezuela lugging 5-gallon or 10-gallon jugs, canisters of gasoline on their back, just trying to get maybe more than that. I don't know how many gallons he said. I saw a picture of this dude with a huge gas can, lugging it on his back. Did not look like a fun smuggling operation because you've got to move a lot of product in order to get paid.
Even if you're only carrying 5 gallons, that's still 40 pounds of weight that you're lugging with you through a river or a swamp or over a mountain.
Right, for $10 or whatever, $5. I mean, for us, that's not worth doing, but for them down there, I guess it is because they got to eat. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. We continue. Mr. Statesman is on the line, calling from D.C. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Mr. Statesman.
Good evening. First,
hey there.
I can't understand for the life of me why anybody would want to legalize marijuana.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Well, it's dangerous. I know my neighbor's girl over there. She actually died from one marijuana, ironically.
One marijuana? Tell me more about that.
Just one marijuana. Yeah. She got some of it from I think it was the neighbor's boy down the street, and he got her hooked on that stuff. And next thing you know, she's dead. Just straight up.
Hold on, he got her hooked on one marijuana. Like the first time she ever used it, she was already hooked?
Yeah, first time. Smoked it. Like
wow.
I don't understand this edible stuff, but yeah.
Are you sure she didn't inject it?
No. She smoked it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't know about that injection stuff, but I do know smoking.
Sure. So where'd you get that information from?
Oh, from my neighbor. He told me his kid died one day.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like BS to me, and I think you're full of it.
Most of the people that say that somebody took one marijuana, they'll also say they injected one marijuana.
Mr. Statesman.
They're just making stuff up like you are.
Yeah, BS. Thanks for the call. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE. 85 was kind of funny, but...
Would have been more funny if he would have just said, yes, she injected it.
Yeah, I don't know. He should have had more material, I think.
Between her toes.
Toll-free number 855-450-FREE. Let's continue. You bring up anything. Mike is in New Jersey listening to WPG. Hey, Mike, you're on the air on Free Talk Live.
Hey, well, I'm glad I queued after that guy. Because my story is a lot different. I'm 59 years old and a cancer patient for 30 years. Went through all kinds. I don't know, had to spend all your airtime here with operations and trying to beat the cancer. And every time I turned around, everybody handed me oxycodone. Oh, take this, you'll feel better. You go home, blah, blah, blah. They didn't think I was going to live. Well, here I am. And the reason I'm alive is because 10 years ago, I got the hell off the oxycodone, but that was killing me and the rest of the people in this country. And I started going home and smoking a little weed.
I want to hear more about your story. If you've got time, stand by, Mike. We'll bring you back for it. Hour number 3 is coming up. This is Free Talk Live.
For Bitcoin to be ubiquitous, people need to use it. For people to use it, they must have it. How can we get Bitcoin into more hands? Well, tipping might be a great way. What if you could include a bonus Bitcoin tip along with your regular tip to a server? What if that Bitcoin returned to you if unclaimed after 30 days? An attractive business card-sized Bitcoin tip that is easily claimed, gives instructions on wallets, spending, and returns to the user if unused? Tip.freetalklive.com. Tip.freetalklive.com. Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled by any state. By continuing to use their money, you're perpetuating the killing. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available to you now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. It's Bitcoin.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, July 16th, 2016. Silver is trading at $20.24 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,338 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $668. Antiwar.com reports investigations into U.S. aid attempts to contract humanitarian aid shipments into Syria found the program rife with bribery and fraud, with U.S. Aid Inspector General Ann Barr saying some partners took advantage of the less than full and open competition. The U.S. program spends billions of dollars, but in many cases their local partners took bribes to decide who was going to win the biggest contracts and did not inspect deliveries. In one case, Barr notes a USAID partner who accepted food packages purely on weight and not on contents. This meant in at least one case that a shipment of food ration kits that were supposed to be lentils was just full of salt, and in other cases more expensive food or goods were substituted for cheaper alternatives and then billed at the higher price. Though Barr did not get too deeply into this aspect, she also revealed that about 1/5 of all complaints about the Syria programs related to shipments being diverted into the hands of various militant groups. USAID suspended 6 programs already related to this. Barr denied any aid was diverted to the Islamic State, but admitted a growing amount was ending up in the hands of Al-Qaeda's Nusra Front. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports presumptive Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump said on Twitter on Friday he has tapped Indiana Governor Mike Pence as his running mate, confirming what was widely reported on Thursday. The announcement had been scheduled to happen in person Friday at Trump Tower in Manhattan, but the event was canceled after the attack in Nice, France that killed dozens of people on Thursday night. Trump said the two would appear together at a news conference at 11 a.m. on Saturday. Pence is a first-term governor who was up for re-election. He had faced a noon Friday deadline to have his name removed from the gubernatorial ballot in Indiana. His selection comes 3 days before the Republican National Convention kicks off in Cleveland. Trump's opponent, Hillary Clinton, responded swiftly to Pence's selection. Her campaign sent out an email to reporters calling Pence the most extreme VP pick in a generation. John Podesta, Clinton's campaign chairman, called Pence an incredibly divisive and unpopular running mate. Pence, a 6-term congressman prior to becoming governor in 2013, brings a conservative and hawkish record to Trump's ticket, including several issues where he and Trump hold differences. Pence has been running for re-election in what polls showed was a close race against Democrat John Gregg, who Pence narrowly defeated 4 years ago. It will now be up to the state party to name Pence's replacement on the November ballot. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerous supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $3 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. Reuters reports New York Governor Andrew Cuomo ordered security tightened on mass transit and at airports, bridges, tunnels, and other crucial transportation links following Thursday's deadly truck attack in Nice, France. In New York City, extra police from the Anti-Terror Force and other units of the New York City Police Department patrolled locations associated with the French government and heavily trafficked areas such as Times Square, according to Mayor Bill de Blasio. De Blasio said on WNYC Radio's Brian Lehrer show, "We are absolutely on alert." He said there was no specific threat against New York City. Cuomo said late on Thursday in a statement that New York State Police and a joint task force of soldiers, airmen, naval militia, and National Guard deployed extra personnel to the New York City area in the hours after at least 84 people were killed at a Bastille Day celebration on the French Riviera. New York City Police Commissioner Bill Bratton said on Friday, after learning of the attack, the New York City Police Department sent detectives already on assignment in Paris and The Hague to Nice to help authorities and to gather intelligence to send home. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Everyone in Pennington is talking about it. Something smells like weed in that back part of the library. Head librarian Cookie Stevens and library volunteers Margaret Mosier and Gail Fredericks were in the middle of discussing the upcoming used book saleganza when they smelled something strange.
So one day we smelled marijuana somewhere, and we're like shocked. Yeah. And so Doug goes, "Do you smell it?"
Without any way to confirm that the smell was indeed weed, Cookie Stevens called her husband, Sheriff Stevens, who called in local ceramics teacher Dutch Gibbs, who lived in Seattle for a few months in the 70s.
Yeah, that's weed.
Sheriff Stevens has begun compiling a list of potential suspects, including that boy Lance, who has girl hair and hangs out down by the quarry, Greg Fromke, who was spotted this evening really going to town on some potato skins at Steaky Jake's Steakhouse, and Mr. Thompson. Luckily, one young reading enthusiast seemed unperturbed by the illicit smell.
Yeah, I don't smell anything. I really, really, really love the library.
The weed smell comes on the heels of last month's discovery of a gigantic pair of women's underpants in the children's fiction section. According to Stevens, that case remains open as well.
It's Free Talk Live. We're talking about prohibition. You can join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype. The Skype username is LRN.FM. With you in studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Darryl.
Right back into your phone calls and thoughts. Mike is on the line in New Jersey. You were beginning to tell us your story, Mike. You were a cancer patient. You were being treated with oxycodone for pain treatment, pain management, and that didn't really work out for you.
Oh, not at all, because I almost ended up dead after 15 years of take these 5s, the 10s, the 15s, while you're going through all these surgeries and chemo, radiation. And, what eventually happens is your body breaks down, and you end up where my son, who's a federal officer, ended up taking me to the hospital. And after that, I said, there's something got to be different here. Although I was surviving the cancer, the treatments that government pays for, were killing me. So I found a way, and a lot of people need to understand I'm 59. I'm not looking for buzz. I'm looking to be, level-headed. I couldn't even operate on the oxycodone. And now what I found, because sleep is very important to someone who's sick, is that if you smoke a little bit of weed and you go to sleep and you have a nice night and you wake up the next day, you're refreshed, you're able to go ahead and tackle whatever you have to tackle. And that, I'm not looking about getting high, I'm looking about getting well. And it's been 25 years now. The last 10 of it, I've been going well with smoking a little bit of weed and going out and functioning as a father, grandfather, and I can't believe that this state has not woken up to the fact that the medicinal prospects of this product and also the financial that it could help the state.
So New Jersey doesn't even have a medical program?
Oh, well, they're just starting it now. Christie has already said he will deny ever implementing any kind of legalized marijuana, and it just makes me sick. To sit there and I partake, and I'm actually breaking the law.
Yeah, it is. It's a frustrating thing, no doubt about it. And thanks for sharing your story here tonight, Mike. I really appreciate it. Glad to hear that cannabis is working for you, and it does for so many people. Thanks for doing that.
One thing I'd like to say
sure.
is that Frank Molinaro is going to the Olympics, and I wish all the people would get behind him. Because this is a big thing for New Jersey.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Let's continue here. We've got Jim. He's in Indianapolis listening to WIBC. Hello, Jim.
Evening, guys. Great show, man. I'm having a great time listening. There's so little libertarian-sounding stuff online. I haven't listened to your show a whole lot before, but loving the topic. I'll get to my question. Borders. Okay, now I haven't listened to your show enough. You've probably hit this at some point. But if we're going to open up our borders, which as a Christian libertarian, I'm thinking, yeah, get the government out of all this stuff.
Right.
I'm cool with that. But once they get here, we're not going to give them a bunch of free stuff, right? I haven't heard you address that yet.
Yeah, no, I mean, of course, as liberty-minded folks, we don't support government welfare programs at all. So yeah, let's end welfare and open the borders and and end the prohibitions as well. So then you won't have gangsters coming in because they won't have anything to be a gang about. So
to put things in the proper order, though, we've got to end that stuff first, right?
No, I'm one of those people of I forget exactly what the term is, but no particular order-ism, if you will.
Yeah.
To
if
where
I could
you
press
can't
that
say
button.
we have to do X before we can do Y. It's X, Y, Z all need to be done. Let's do them when we can get them done.
Well, you know, here's, you know, I'd love to be convinced, but we start to sound like Nancy Pelosi here when we say, hey, we got to pass the bill to know what's in it. Like, what are the odds of our legislatures actually passing bills that start pulling all of these entitlement programs once we
highly unlikely.
Highly unlikely, and
right.
I hate to.
Aren't we kind of committing suicide slowly if we do it out of order?
No, and I hate to have to defend Nancy Pelosi, but the reason, and I'll explain her whole we have to pass it to know what's in it. I tried reading the Patient Protection Affordable Care Act before it was passed. And almost
no way.
every
You were one of the three people.
almost every section said such and so regulation as prescribed by the Secretary of Health and Human Services.
So it opened it up to them just writing the regulations.
Right. So what was actually being approved had not actually even been written, or if it had been written, was not entered into the actual proposal that they were voting on. They were voting to authorize the Secretary of Health and Human Services to write all of these new regulations. So there's no way of knowing what would wind up being adopted because it had not yet been written or sent to Congress.
It's a law that says once we pass this, we can do whatever we want. Yeah, awesome law, guys.
Here's one of the things I would suggest as far as the order.
I'm not saying it was a good law. I'm just defending her statement.
I understand. I understand your point.
So as far as the order of operations, if I can press a button tomorrow and end some federal bureaucracy, if I could just get rid of the ICE people, the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, I'd press that button because it would result in smaller government. It would result in fewer regulations on businesses. Because remember, ICE, not only are they interdicting when it comes to immigrants, they're also interdicting when it comes to products coming across the border as well. So I don't think the government should be getting in the way of trade of products or of people coming across.
And the ICE agents will go around to businesses. The ICE agents will go around to businesses where illegal immigrants, and I hate that term, but where these immigrants are suspected of being employed and then just go in and demand all of the employment files. And if things don't match up, then all right, everybody here, you're coming with us.
Yeah, I'm not okay with the idea of a crackdown on immigration because that, to me, spells a police state. But go ahead, Jim. You were trying to get in there with some thoughts, so please.
Yeah, no, I'm not against. If someone wants to come into the country, and I lived in the Florida Keys in the '80s, and I knew many families that were here illegally that were hardworking and had great jobs and started businesses, and I never had a problem with that. But I'm still not hearing anything that convinces me that if we say, hey, you know what, no borders, come on in, anyone and everyone, the wealthiest country in the nation with the most generous entitlement programs, and we're not requiring even an ID, sign up for it, aren't we toast about 5-6 years into that plan unless we get rid of all the entitlement programs first? I haven't heard an intelligent argument yet that convinces me that we're not committing suicide, especially with the Islamic terrorist stuff, which I think is a little overblown. Yes, it's in the headlines. Yes, they're dangerous. But still, do we really want to let several thousand of those guys into our country?
Hold on. It seems as though you're describing Schrodinger's immigrant, the immigrant that comes in and takes the jobs and is too lazy to work and takes all the welfare. So, you can't have both of those things simultaneously. It's either one or the other. And again, we have said repeatedly that we're not advocating the existence of welfare. So when we're saying we don't advocate the existence of welfare, I don't know how you can interpret that to mean we want to put everybody on welfare.
Oh, no. It does exist, though. I don't want it to exist, and you don't want it to exist, but it does, right?
What does? An immigrant who both is employed and is taking welfare?
No, the welfare system currently exists.
the entitlement systems.
Yeah.
We've got people moving into our communities, going to our public schools that are here illegally, and I don't have a problem with that, but they're signing up for the program. They're going to the hospital and getting free treatment if they don't have money. They're taking advantage of our services in other ways. I mean, there's entire books that have been sent to Mexico on how to get here and make sure you're as set up as possible.
Let me ask you this question real quick. Let me ask you this question. Is your problem...
I want to be convinced.
Is your problem with people signing up for government schools and signing up for whatever program to get medical care for free or discounted? Is your problem with that even existing, or is your problem the fact that somebody that was born in another country is doing it?
Oh, the fact that it even exists.
Then why even mention that immigrants are doing it? If your problem is with it even existing, what does it matter where somebody is from?
Good question. Jim, I can continue the conversation if you'd like. Stand by. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. What if everybody who's as fed up with welfare is just decided to stop paying taxes?
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson. Injury Help Desk is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisements. Services may not be available in all states.
Attention prescription antibiotic drug users. Have you or a loved one suffered an aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, or abdominal aortic aneurysm after taking the prescription antibiotic drugs Levaquin or Avelox? These popular antibiotic drugs have been prescribed more than 80 million times since 2004, and medical studies show an increased risk of the following injuries: aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, and abdominal aortic aneurysm. If you or a loved one used the prescription antibiotic drugs Levaquin or Avelox and suffered from aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, or abdominal aortic aneurysm, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. You may be entitled to substantial financial compensation.
Is it like really heavy or something, or is this a libertarian Excalibur? So like if Darryl can lift it, does he get to be king? Thanks. And Sarah is definitely a lizard.
Does your basement or crawl space have a damp, musty smell? Well, watch out. That's a sign of too much moisture and not enough ventilation. And that can mean increased mold growth and the buildup of harmful toxins and gases. Don't bother with a dehumidifier. It just circulates the same unhealthy air. Now there's a better way to remove these dangers and odors. It's with the computerized Wave Moisture Control Unit that reduces moisture and expels pollutants.
We replaced our old dehumidifier with the Wave unit, and in only 3 weeks, our basement is dry and the musty smell is gone.
Wave units require no maintenance, no buckets of water or filters, and costs only pennies a day to run. Breathe better, live healthier with an affordable, no-maintenance Wave unit. Call 888-618-WAVE, 888-618-WAVE, or visit mydryhome.com, mydryhome.com.
Ride the wave. Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
This is your Roberts & Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Friday, gold is $10 lower at $1,325 per ounce, and silver is 21 cents lower at $20.13 per ounce. Bitcoin is currently trading at $661 US. Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been helping clients buying and selling precious metals for nearly 40 years. For more information, give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can bring up anything you want. Live Saturday edition of the program. Lots about prohibition tonight. Although we've sort of moved on to discussing a different type of prohibition, the type that involves human beings crossing imaginary lines in the sand. We got Jim in Indianapolis with us here. We're going to get back to his thoughts, who's basically saying, yeah, he's against the idea of prohibition. He wouldn't mind maybe having open borders, but wants to see welfare go away first. He thinks that there's a specific order that things need to be done in, and of course the idea that Republicans or Democrats are ever going to propose an end to welfare is pretty absurd. That's certainly not on the horizon. Of course, it's also pretty absurd they're going to propose an end to borders too. So really, we're just kind of talking about what we think the best way to from here to there might be. But Jim, I wanted to make sure you had a chance to get all your thoughts out, so you're still here with us from Indy listening to WIBC.
I'm here, and I would love to be convinced. I mean, really, in an intellectually honest way. I mean, we are inches from being on the same page here, guys, and all liberty-loving people, this should make total sense. Like even drugs. I think you're an idiot if you do drugs, but should they be illegal? Of course not. We don't have laws against drinking bleach, right? I mean, so...
Well, actually there is.
Anything else either, right? I mean, I'm on the same page, but...
Well, isn't there a prohibition against using products in a way they are not labeled, some sort of federal
There's
prohibition?
a federal prohibition against using products in a manner that is in conflict with the prescribed usage.
But that said, you're not going to get arrested for carrying bleach from the grocery store to your home.
Exactly.
Right.
Right. Yeah, or misusing any number of other products in a way an idiot might use them. Let people be idiots. Don't hurt me, don't take my stuff, right? That makes sense to me. Again, but this border thing, I just think, as the wealthiest nation on earth, if we said, hey, come one, come all you got to do is get an airplane ticket or a bus pass, come on in, the roads are paved. If we don't get rid of welfare first, I haven't been convinced yet.
Hold on. So what if the legislation to open the borders, and again, this is not actual legislation that's being proposed, but if the legislation that said there are no more restrictions on who can enter this country also said, and there's also no more welfare programs.
Yeah, or even you're ineligible for any kind of welfare or public assistance for 10 years. Or 5 years.
Well, would that apply to everybody born in this country as well? Because it seems as though your problem is really only with foreigners.
No. I run a company with 70 employees around the world. I don't know where half of them are even from, dude. I mean, I have no problem with skin color. I don't even know what color they are. Some of them. It's internet-based stuff, okay? So that's not the issue.
Right, well, being mad that somebody from Mexico is using a government school has nothing to do with their skin color.
Well, no.
You could be mad about a Canadian using the government-run school as well.
He's just saying he's frustrated.
I don't like paying for my neighbor's education.
Look, he's just saying, Darryl, that he's frustrated by welfare's existence and believes that if more people come in here, that they're going to use welfare.
But he's particularly upset about the people from other countries that are using government schools.
No, you sound like that. You sound like my friends on the left, but it has nothing
You're
to do
the
with
one that keeps
really.
mentioning.
Let him explain, Darryl. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, man. Anyone who's taking money out of my pocket and then using it for quote-unquote the greater good kicks me off. I don't care who they are or what the quote-unquote greater good is, okay? I'm right there with you. I earned that money. I should get to decide who I'm going to give it to and how I'm going to spend it. So Mexican or not, it doesn't matter. I'm talking about the math here, guys. Right now we're supporting, 48 million Americans, Mexicans, Jews, Asians, whatever. They're in our country, and they're on some kind of government assistance. If we change that number from 48 million to 250 million in a matter of a year and a half, 2 years, how do we do it if we don't drop the program?
Does that 48 million include all of the people that are government employees or the people that work for companies that are heavily dependent upon government contracts? Because I don't think it does.
We're talking 100 million. No, we're talking 100 million once you start talking those numbers of people who have government jobs and add zero value to our economy. Now we're talking 150 million, maybe even.
Well,
I mean, it's a frightening thing.
The good news is all going to come to an end at some point here. Likely, whether it's because of the massive amount of welfare that are sort of the obligations that exist, the trillions upon trillions of welfare obligations on into the future that the government's basically already paying. And of course, in that, I also include pensions for government agents and things like that, which is basically a welfare
They're the only
program.
ones that really get pensions anymore.
So, I mean, ultimately, likely before any kind of repeal to welfare or repeal of border control, it's likely the American system is going to come to a close. And so, if ending the border actually hastens that, I don't really have a problem with it. And what about this? I asked this before we went out to a break a couple segments ago. What if the people who are so upset about welfare actually did something more than just complained about it? What if they stopped paying into the system? Yeah.
Boom. I love it. Who's going to start that movement? I don't want to go to jail.
I have not been paying taxes for more than a decade, so screw the state. They are an evil monopoly on violence, and I am not interested as a moral person in supporting that. So there you go. You can jump on board whenever you're ready. Thanks, Jim, for the call tonight. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Let's continue. Paul in Indianapolis, listening to WIBC. You're on Free Talk Live.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, Paul, go ahead.
So I can't tell you exactly where I work, but I work in healthcare.
Okay.
And I see it every day. I see immigrants, illegal immigrants, undocumented, and it doesn't matter where they're from, come in, get free health care, and don't pay anything.
Are they the only ones that come in to get the free health care?
Yes.
They're the only ones.
Obviously, it's part of the Obamacare. We won't turn anybody away. What happens is you come in, I don't have any ID, I don't have any job, I don't have anything. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and see you, and we're going to set you up on a health plan for 30 days, no charge to you. Next time you come back in, bring your documentation, anything that you may have, so that we can get you on some sort of government-assisted health care plan. What irritates me is when I walk out in my parking lot, half these people are driving vehicles better than mine. They're driving Cadillac Escalades. They're driving all these fancy new cars, yet they're getting free services. And then I look at the welfare part of this, and I have an issue with somebody that's collecting welfare that refuses to get a job because it's easier to be on welfare.
Yeah, me too.
Why are we not making it harder for people to stay on welfare, such as drug tests, such as, are you
Well, with drug tests, you would need probable cause. You would need probable cause to suspect them of being on drugs before you could just test them. Now, if you wanted to also drug test politicians, then good luck with getting the politicians to actually vote for that, and they're probably the biggest welfare recipients of all.
Look, the problem is with the welfare, that's what's upsetting you, the fact that there is welfare and that there are people who take advantage. They know how to work the system. The system is there for their benefit, and that's frustrating when you're forced to pay for it. Thank you, Paul, for your call and thoughts. This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE.
Worried about lead, fluoride, and other contaminants in your drinking water? Get a ProPure with the Pro 1G 2.0 cleanable reusable filter and remove up to 200 contaminants. Drink water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure products, including the new ProMax shower filter. There's a ProPure for you. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's PROPURUSA.com.
The investment world isn't fair. A precious metals trader buys gold and silver at spot price. You pay his price plus fees, costs, and shipping. But today, you don't. Today, JM Bullion offers a 10-ounce bar of pure silver at spot price. No fees, no markups, no shipping. Invest in something real, not Wall Street paper. 10 ounces of silver at spot price. Visit realpricesilver.com for this limited time offer. One per household, 50 United States only. realpricesilver.com.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
For Bitcoin to be ubiquitous, people need to use it. For people to use it, they must have it. How can we get Bitcoin into more hands? Tipping. What if you could include a bonus Bitcoin tip along with your regular tip to a server? What if that Bitcoin tip returned to you if unclaimed after 30 days? An attractive business card Bitcoin tip that's easily claimed, gives instructions on wallets and spending, and returns to the tipper if unused. Tip.freetalklive.com. Tip.freetalklive.com.
For years, LRN.FM has had a listen line that you can call and listen to LRN.FM anytime. Now we're taking the idea to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on-demand line. You can call 641-793-9660 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed, and you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long-distance fees may apply. Just dial 641-793-9660 and choose from the menu. 641-793-9660. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Ian and Darryl in the studio with you here tonight on this live Saturday edition. You can join us. The toll-free number, 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Welfare, immigration, the war on drugs. We've been on all those topics here tonight. You're welcome to comment and share your thoughts. As we continue, you can also, by the way, listen to us via the audio on-demand listen line that we just launched within the last week or so here on Free Talk Live. The phone number that you'll need to punch into your phone is 641-793-9660. I'll give you that again here in a moment. It allows you to listen to LRN.FM live anytime you want. You can also listen to nearly a dozen of the original LRN.FM content shows that we have, like Free Talk Live, Cop Block Radio, The No State Project, The Call to Freedom, Freedom Fiends, Declare Your Independence, and more. You get a full menu when you call in. You punch the number of the show you want to listen to, and then you listen to the latest episode of that show on demand. Very, very simple. And now there's an additional feature to this process, which is the listener feedback option. So let's say you call up 641-793-9660, select Free Talk Live. We're option number 2 from the front menu there. And then it'll tell you, there's a new announcement there that'll tell you if you press 0 at any time as you're listening, it'll allow you to leave us a message. So let's say you're listening, sometime when we're not live, and you want to get your thoughts out there about the welfare system or immigration or whatever. This is one way for you to reach the show if you aren't a live listener, because you can leave a message, and maybe we'll get a chance to play one of those messages on the air. We did actually get the first one tonight that has come in.
Pretty funny, too.
I think we should play it just because it's pretty short. It's not really a heavy issue, but
23 seconds.
Yeah, I'm going to play the audio from it here. This is the first person who called the line. So far, we've only promoted it on our Facebook page. So that must be how the person found it. This is the first time we've mentioned it on the air. Again,
we have mentioned the call-in line.
True.
We've not mentioned the leave a message option,
which just started like 24 hours ago, so it's pretty fresh. So call up at 641-793-9660. Choose option 2 for Free Talk Live. Then press 0, and you can leave us a message. It'll be delivered to multiple hosts' email accounts. So here's what our first caller left. We don't know his name. Oh, hang on a sec. Now we've got it.
Hey, guys. I'm just wondering why Ian is always talking about Ron Paul's jockstrap and why various people would have trouble carrying it. Is it like really heavy or something, or is this a libertarian Excalibur? So like if Darryl can lift it, does he get to be king? Thanks. And Sarah is definitely a lizard.
So what he's referring to is, yes, I have used the phrase so-and-so couldn't carry Ron Paul's jockstrap.
I've not heard you say that in months, other than when you just said it right now.
I'll usually use it when I'm referring to some libertarian who isn't of the same caliber of Ron Paul, like Gary Johnson.
No, I know the context. Yeah. I'm just saying you've not used it in a long time.
I don't know. I mean, I'll probably use it a few times a year. If we're comparing libertarian candidates, I'll use that phrase.
Right, so if you only use it a few times a year, that means every few months, which would explain why I've not heard you say it in several months.
Well, either way, it's good to explain what that means. Maybe some people haven't heard that particular phrase before. I don't know if you want to call it a colloquialism or what the right
something along those lines
term would be for that. But yeah, basically it's a way of comparing somebody and being a little bit dirty about it, I guess you could say.
Right.
So there you go. Funny call. Thanks for making that. And again, you can feed us feedback, whatever your thoughts are about whatever you want on that listen line. How often we'll use them, I don't know. How often they'll be good and worthy of using, we've yet to see. We actually tried something like this in the past. It's been a few years, and we were doing it with the Google Voice system back then. And so this is a little bit of a different method. It might make it easier for us to kind of parse through them since multiple hosts are receiving them. So we'll see how it works out, and we'll continue telling you more about that as time goes on. And let's go back to your phone calls and thoughts. We've got Dwight. He's in Northern California. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Darryl.
Hello, Ian and Darryl. How you guys doing?
Hey there, Dwight. Go ahead with your thoughts tonight. I'm great.
Well, my thought has to do with your topic, immigration, drug inundation, and the third one.
Welfare.
The gist is good, and welfare. But let's start with immigration.
I would like to do that, but it sounds like you're swallowing your phone. Would you mind packing away? I hate to ask people to do this all the time. I know it bugs one of our listeners that I do this, but it sounds like...
How's now?
That's
a little
bit
better. Can you get it further away?
Let me turn off the speakers.
Yeah, sometimes those headsets, I don't know if that's what he had it on, or speakerphone or headset. Yeah. Yes, much better. Much better.
Okay. Let's start with immigration.
Yes, I can understand you now. Okay, great.
Gotcha. America is supposed to provide for the national security and common welfare of citizens. Everybody is a human being, but everybody is not an American. And as a Christian nation, we gave the courtesy of amnesty in 86 with the express condition from 86 forward to now. Everybody is to process promptly and appropriately. So the issue, the excuse and crutch of saying, hey, there's too many, they got children, don't fly. Because I know, some people who have gone to prison and they had kids, and that didn't stop them from going to prison. And the responsibility for children lies with the parents. And since they chose not to follow the process of naturalization, they are not entitled. Now, here is the thing about using kids as crutches and excuses. On the immigration locally here, they saying, oh, you can't send us back because we got kids. But there are people on this planet who use kids as weapons.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then they're going to say, oh, we got to let them come here because they got kids. Those people there are people who would strap bombs on their very birth child and send them this way.
Yeah, but that hasn't actually happened. I mean, that's just fear-mongering.
Let's not go hypothetical. It is not fear-mongering. I'm talking about
how many times does a kid get strapped with a bomb, even in the Middle East? I mean, really, is that common over there?
No.
Well,
sometimes women will do it, but
if you include, they have done it. You know they do. Now, here is another using children and women as weapons of war. Now, you're getting me diverted, but kidnapping hundreds of black women as part of a terrorist act and then enslaving them and they give birth. Women and children have been used as weapons of war. Now, that's the gross example, but coming over here and say, oh, you can't send us that because of kids is wrong. Now, here's the thing about kids.
Hold on. I've got a question for you.
Okay, let me just make one more statement. Everybody got kids. In America, you can't let your little adolescent ride in a car.
I don't have kids.
No, don't quit. Listen. We don't let little children ride in a car unless they're in a car seat. So on a national level, why do we allow the flawed logic of children riding on top of a train through 3 countries to get here?
Dwight, I wish we had time for your comments on other things, but I want to make sure we get other folks on here. Thank you for the call tonight, Dwight. I appreciate it. Call another night. I got you.
I also want to remind people that at one time, the only requirement to, come here was to show up. There's a big statue called the Statue of Liberty, and there's a poem at the base of that says, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. Well, saying you have to come jump through all these hoops and hurdles and then we'll decide if you get to be here doesn't really sound like accepting the tired, the poor, the huddled masses yearning to be free. It sounds like trying to enslave people.
Well, especially considering the poor couldn't even possibly begin to afford the fees that are involved with applying for immigration here, let alone the legalese and the hiring of an attorney that is necessary to navigate the morass of this nebulous system of immigration. Look, I share the caller's concerns about kids being used as a cudgel or a tool or a wedge.
Yeah, governments use it all the time. Think of the children.
Or whatever. But as far as restricting immigration, no, I want freedom. If you restrict immigration, you're working towards a police state. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to live in a police state. 855-450-FREE. Join us.
This is a life-changing message for anyone with sleep apnea who is on the go and tired of dragging around a big, bulky home CPAP device. MiniCPAP.com now offers a portable device that's as small as a soda can and weighs less than a pound. For even more freedom, you can add a battery that's as tiny as a deck of cards. It's called the Transcend Mini CPAP, and right now you can try it risk-free for 10 days by calling 1-800-941-9483. Transcend is the world's first portable mini CPAP device. It gives you the freedom to sleep in total comfort anywhere you are. Our smallest and most advanced portable design ever, Transcend is so small and so light you can fit it in your briefcase or purse to use anywhere you go. It's FAA compliant too, so you can even sleep comfortably while flying. Enjoy the freedom to sleep comfortably anywhere. Call minicpap.com now for your 10-day at-home trial. 1-800-941-9483. That's 1-800-941-9483.
Dangerous blood clot device alert. If you or a loved one had an IVC filter placed to prevent blood clots from traveling to your heart or lungs and suffered an injury, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. The FDA warns that IVC filters may cause serious complications, such as heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, and even death. These dangerous blood clot devices can break, and the metal fragments can travel to your heart or lungs, causing serious injuries. If you or a loved one suffered organ damage or other injuries from an IVC filter, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. This is an advertisement. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. InjuryHelpDesk.com is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. I know this sounds unbelievable, but at my house, we saved as much as 45% off of a new item on Amazon. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live shows 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join us. Although right now, if you're not already on the phones, you probably aren't going to get in because they're loaded up. But if you don't get in tonight, that's okay. Darryl and I will be here tomorrow night for the live Sunday edition. If you're wondering where one of our normal weekend co-hosts, Mark, is, he's actually over at the Freedom Fest, which I think might have ended today or whenever. I'm not sure when the thing was over, but he's in Vegas.
Might happen tomorrow as well. I'm not sure.
He's in Vegas right now. And I don't know if I'm allowed to tell you this, but I know he's going to talk about it on the air with us at some point. Mark got robbed in Vegas. Yeah, I don't know any of the details. That's all I know is that he got robbed. I mean, he's obviously okay. He's still texting me, so he's not in the hospital or anything like that. But he says he's pretty shaken up about it, and he does want to talk about it on the radio. So when he gets back, we'll talk about that.
It could be something to where he went to the hotel room and stuff was missing that...
generally that's not considered a robbery. That would be a burglary. So robbery is where somebody will hold you up for something. Typically, that's a typical definition of a robbery.
I generally think of you getting held up as you got mugged.
Well, you could call that a mugging as well. I don't
Robbed
think he was.
is stuff was missing and you weren't necessarily there.
Well, I guess we'll find out because I don't know what was used or what the circumstances were. But anyway, that's what's going on with Mark this weekend here. Toll-free number, well, actually, I shouldn't give that to you because the phones are loaded up. Let's go right back to your calls and thoughts. But first, I do want to let you know about our satellite fundraiser, which is going on right now. You can contribute to it, $5, $10, $50, whatever you got that you want to throw in. We sure do appreciate it. It helps us to get the signal of LRN.FM across multiple continents. We're on in North and Central America. On Galaxy 19, we're on SES 5 over sub-Saharan Africa. And I'd like to expand that to include Europe, most of the Middle East, and North Africa. We can do that with one new satellite, and you can help us raise the money for it over at fund.lrn.fm. So if you want people to hear Free Talk Live and all the other great shows on lrn.fm, and you want them to hear it in countries that many of them don't even have decent access to the internet, this is a way to do it. So please get behind the fundraiser, and there's perks as well, of course. An Indiegogo-based fundraiser. Go to fund.lrn.fm. As we go to your phone calls and thoughts. First up, David's in Mobile, listening to WAVH-FM. Hey, David.
Hey, guys. We're on tape delay down here, so I don't know if you've covered this yet or not, but the guy that's the head of the law enforcement organization in California gave the pot proponents, opened the door for them to drive a semi-truck right on through when he said that the bill is nothing but bringing commercialization of pot into California, and they should immediately respond with, yes, that's what we want to do because it reduces crime in California, makes your job easier, and give the example of the doing away of prohibition as a perfect example, because that's really what started to bring down the mob, was the end of prohibition, because that's where the mob made their money, was off of the bootlegging of alcohol.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. But the government, or in this case the Police Chiefs Association, they want it to continue to be illegal. And so what he's trying to do is pander to the anti-corporate mentality of a lot of people out in California. Of course, corporations are evil, blah, blah, blah. So people will respond to that. And that's, and in my opinion, what his attempt is there.
Right. And this reminds me of the absolutely absurd rationale that somebody gave on the show last night for why he would not be voting for Gary Johnson is, well, Gary Johnson might win and become corrupted, so therefore I'm going to vote for Donald Trump.
Who's already corrupted?
Yeah.
So, but see that the cop in California, he wants, and the cops in general in the United States, they want to keep pot illegal because we've got a problem with this in this country of profit center policing, and if we could get away from that, I think you would see a lot of the racial tensions in this country subside, because a lot of the laws that are based on profit center policing are actually geared towards the minority communities in this country, because it's all about the green.
David, thanks for your call tonight. I appreciate it. Let's continue with your calls and thoughts. First up, we've got David in Richmond, I believe, Virginia, unless there's a Richford nearby. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, you guys were talking about immigration.
Yes, sir.
There's been times in our history where we did not take any immigrants due to reasons. I think right now I'm not against immigration at all in any way, shape, or form. Obviously, being an American and being someone who, my forefathers came from another country, I'm pro-immigration. It's just that at this moment in our history, because of the lack of proper vetting, because of the war that's going on, that we don't even really claim that is going on, but our enemy knows it's going on. We just don't have any way of properly getting the people here that need to be here and getting rid of the people that don't need to be here.
Well, here's how you do that. You make it so anybody can come here, but that they don't have access to a bunch of freebie giveaways, unless, of course, there are private groups that want to help take care of people, which is something that I support. If somebody wants to create a charity to give people who are immigrants access to health care, I fully support that kind of market-based action. But in the meantime, the only other alternative here, from what it sounds like you're saying, would be to have some sort of enforcement program, and that's just going to be an absolute nightmare. It's going to result in a police state. I mean, how many checkpoints do you want to go through to get to work?
Well, here's the thing with the whole police state idea. We've got an administration right now who's trying to get rid of the police, period.
What?
They're trying to put in a federal. Yeah, Obama's trying to put in a federal police state.
Oh, yeah. Okay, right. You mean federalizing local
That
cops.
would not be getting rid of the police. That would be adding more police and having them be federal employees.
Exactly.
Which is
his
the
thing
complete
with
opposite of getting rid of them.
Right. It's enforced. It's making it like every mailman a police, like giving the IRS guns and everything else.
Well, they already have that.
Yeah, they've had those for a long time.
But what I'm saying is the whole refugee crisis and the whole theme of America is helping the world and whatever. That's great and all, but we need to start building refugee camps for Americans. There's a lot of Americans who are starving right now. There's a lot of Americans. I mean, even me.
There aren't Americans who are starving.
Here's an idea on the whole refugee thing. Stop creating refugees. Get rid of the foreign policy that creates the refugees, and then you don't have to worry about what do we do with these 10 million refugees.
Well, certainly the United States government. It's certainly true the United States government has intervened in foreign places, and that has resulted in refugees. But refugees might happen anyway because of what other governments do around the world. David, thanks for your call tonight. I appreciate it. Let's continue here. Evan is in Memphis. You're on Free Talk Live listening online. Hello, Evan.
Hey, how's it going?
Welcome.
Ian.
You're on the air.
I wanted to call in and talk about welfare for a little bit, but the previous caller just mentioned immigration. It's kind of sparked me to just say this out real quick. I'm okay with open borders. Like I'm totally fine with that. But at the same time,
glad to hear it.
Like I'm afraid. I'm legitimately there's legitimate fear, and I feel it's kind of validated because with France, with UK. They are overseas. I get it. They're a long ways away. But
what are you afraid of?
Subculture.
What are you afraid of?
I guess I would say, realistically, it's more like the unknown. What's going to happen if a large number of just unknown variables come into my.
Well, here's what happened in the past. The immigrants to the United States made the United States the most prosperous nation in the entire world. That's what happened in the past. And there was a lot of uncertainty then and a lot of fear when it came to immigrants. And what I'd like to caution you here, and I wish we had more time to talk to you about it, but we don't tonight. Evan, thanks for the call. I just want to explain, though. Fear is the tool that the government uses to empower itself.
Yes.
Your fear is their main crutch that they use to, spark you into supporting their programs. Ooh, drug dealers, terrorists, immigrants. There's all these bad boogeymen out there, and you need us to keep you safe. Make sure you fund us more and more every single year.
I saw a headline earlier today that said that the French president has said we have to suspend freedoms to fight terrorism.
Well, wait a minute. Wasn't terrorism supposed to, at least in the United States, destroy freedom? Wasn't that the intention of the terrorists?
The terrorists hate us because of our freedom,
right, so
let's
we have
get rid
to
of it. Get rid of freedoms to fight terrorists.
Because then the terrorists won't win if we get rid of the freedoms before they can destroy the freedoms.
Something
if
like
we can destroy our own freedoms first, we have won the war on terror.
Yes, something along those lines.
Right. So, fear is a killer. It's a killer in your personal life, and it's a killer on the world stage as well. Most people are good, obviously, because the world is mostly at peace. There's fewer wars, less violence than there have ever been, from my understanding. So most people are good. Wish we had more time tonight, but we'll see you tomorrow online in the meantime. Head over to freetalklive.com. Check out Darryl's website, libertylobby.xyz.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at creditsuccesssecretsrevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit, did your nerves spike? You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at creditsuccesssecretsrevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719 That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to creditsuccesssecretsrevealed.com.
There's no better app for tracking the value of cryptocurrencies than CoinCap. I've had a lot of apps for tracking Bitcoin, but none that's ever been able to track 500 digital